reaching out, but all I feel is hollow. I wanna make you work, but all I do is make you worse. The truth is a damn hard pill to swallow. Don't you wanna come on over? Don't you wanna work it out? Don't you wanna love me better, love me better, love me now? Don't you wanna fix our problems? Baby, I can show you how. Don't you wanna love me better, love me better, love me now? Don't you wanna come on over? Don't you wanna work it out? Don't you wanna love me better, love me better, love me now? Don't you wanna fix our problems? Baby, I can show you how. Don't you wanna love me better, love me better, love me now? Don't you wanna love me better, love me better, love me now? Don't you wanna come on over? Don't you wanna work it out? Don't you wanna love me better, love me better, love me now? Don't you wanna fix our problems? Baby, I can show you how. Don't you wanna love me better, love me better, love me
What an irony. My mirror shows the other side of me. All these ones and zeros, nothing in between. But there's so much more to me than eyes can see. Than eyes can see. I'm not binary. much more to me than eyes can see. Than eyes can see. I'm not binary. What an irony. My mirror shows the other side of me. All these ones and zeros, nothing in between. But there's so much more to me than eyes can see. Than eyes can see. I'm not binary.
I should stay or be alone. Won't you make up your mind? 'Cause I'm getting tired of overthinking every move you make. And I can help you decide who you're loving now, and how I'm not quite there somehow. My intuition says to give you up, but my heart can't easily let you go. I try to tell myself this isn't love, and I hate that I never really know if I should stay or be alone. I'm just waiting for the fire, but you won't even try to survive. You would rather keep it all inside, and I can help you decide who you're loving now, and how I'm not quite there somehow. My intuition says to give you up, but my heart can't easily let you go. I try to tell myself this isn't love, but I hate that I never really know if I
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our first match of the evening here. We have ZMG Luna, the home team, coming up against Stunned Gaming's Cosmic team. I am your caster, Aulzeren0r. I am being joined this evening by Prettyfig. Welcome to the desk.
Hello. I have a cold. Okay, let's see. Let's look at the bands. Let's go.
Now,
First band, Senna. Interesting.
ZMG's Luna team is one of their gold-ranked teams. Are you familiar with the players that we'll be seeing from them today?
Uh, yes. Uh, wait, wait, for which team? Luna? Yeah, I
For
know
Luna,
Luna.
yes.
Okay. I I'm just surprised about those bands because those are not the bands I was expecting for Luna.
You didn't expect the bands that Luna chose, or you didn't expect the bands against Luna?
Against Luna. I was expecting maybe a Phelios band or Samira, but I mean I guess those are all pretty meta picks right now.
Very fair. We do see, despite the number of ADC bans, both teams picking their ADCs first round here. Zeri for Stunned Gaming, with Kai'Sa and Nautilus being the bot lane lock-in for Luna. Very similar to some of the choices that were made last night by a couple of these ZMG teams.
Looks like Luna is trying to go for some form of dive comp with the Nautilus Kaisa. Ooh, the Seraphine. I wonder if it's going to be a Seraphine mid or if they're going to put it in support.
It's hard to tell. For now, it's going to be a flex pick for Stunned Gaming here. Of course, since Stunned Gaming is a different organization, we are not familiar with these players, so we are learning alongside you of the viewers as we see the Trundle pick. What are you thinking? Is that going to go top lane, or are we more likely to see that in the jungle here?
I feel like in typically in Gold Elo, I see Trundles more or less in the jungle versus top lane. I feel like a Trundle top is usually more of a counter pick.
Very fair. Luna matching the jungle pick with the Nocturne, and then immediately banning the Lux. I guess that means they think that Seraphine is going to the bot lane as a support, but Lux not seeing a whole bunch of play in general. They must know something about Stunned Gaming that we do not, as the Shen ban is the response by Stunned Gaming.
I mean, with that durability patch, I mean, I feel like Lux is not in her best spot right now. I was playing the other day as Soraka and I got hit by a Q ult from Lux and I didn't die. Feels good, man.
About the first time you've been hit by a Lux combo and haven't died in a long time, right?
I mean, before the durability patch, that like pretty much one shot you if you weren't like a tank.
Very fair.
Is that a no ban? I'm very confused there.
No, that was a Camille ban.
Okay, my thing's glitched. Okay, aye
Uh,
aye.
we do see 3 top lane bans and the Galio pickup from Luna. Thinking that's going to go mid lane then?
Yeah, I think that's a Galio mid. It's gonna be. Oh, you mean Seraphine?
No, the Galio mid.
Yeah, I think that's a Galio mid. That's a full on like dive comp. Nocturne goes in, Galio ults, and then just follow up between Nocturne and Kaisa. Oh, not Nautilus and Kaisa. Oh, is that okay?
Well, the Vel'Koz doesn't clear anything up, since Seraphine and Vel'Koz are both commonly seen in the support role. So we'll have to see where these champions get assigned when we get into Champ Select proper.
I feel like it's most likely Seraphine support and then Vel'Koz mid, just because with Zeri you typically want an Enchanter support. It's usually not. You usually don't pair poke with Zeri.
Very fair point there. We see the Mordekaiser getting picked up. And that's a lot of healing out of Stun Gaming. They're really leaning into this durability patch, aren't they?
Yep. Um. I will say though, even like the Mordekaiser and Trundle, those are still kind of flex picks because Mordekaiser can go both top and jungle.
Meanwhile, ZMG picking a more normal top laner with the Gnar, locking in all of their champions here to a specific role. As we look over these finalized team comps, do you have any premonitions, any feelings about what lane states we're going to be seeing as we get into game here?
I feel like this early game is really going to determine how well this game goes because yes, Luna has like the dive comp, but I feel like stunned gaming might have a little bit more damage output potential if they get ahead.
Well, we shall have to see. As we wait for these teams to get through draft and we get through spectator delay, we are going to go on to a brief break, but we will be back as soon as we are in game. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back.
you've taken on. I'm out of the cage, 'cause you opened the door. You're as innocent as gone. 'Cause if you're falling for me, just be one. 'Cause I don't think you're ready for it. I'm not the one to mess round. No, I don't think you're ready for it. Too many people done wrong. 'Cause I don't think you're ready for it.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are sorry for the delay. We had some troubles with the lobby, but now that we've gotten that sorted, we are getting ready to get into this game. We have.
I guess oh, sorry.
Please go right ahead.
I was looking up the matchup a little bit more. Apparently, Nar has a 47% win rate into Mordekaiser. Um, so I feel like having Nar as the counter pick, they counter pick themselves. Was kind of strange. And then the only other issue I kind of see on the team now that I'm looking is I don't know if Red Team has an answer if Mordekaiser gets fed. I don't know if they can kill him.
Very important concerns. The other thing you mentioned to me during the break was that if ZMG can't get onto the Vel'Koz in fights, they're going to find themselves cut through very rapidly with the damage that Vel'Koz can pump out from the backline for blue team.
Especially with like a Seraphine ult. That would not be ideal.
Well, the win cons for ZMG are very clear, but on the other hand,
Oh,
well,
did you just get unable to download spectator data?
we are having some spectate issues, folks. We'll keep talking while we are trying to get this figured out. But not entirely sure what's going on. The League client is apparently having a bad day. Well, as we're
Let
trying to
me
get
just try reconnecting, maybe.
that sorted, Stun Gaming does have fairly straightforward win conditions as well. Either get the Mordekaiser fed or protect the Vel'Koz during these fights. Which of those do you think is going to be a little bit easier to execute here?
They'll say though, I think Red Side has more of a like pick comp. Like they can team fight, but if they get a pick on either Vel'Koz or like really any of the carries before a team fight, I think they'll be okay.
Alrighty, I have got the game sorted here. Let me get it up on screen for everyone to see here. Welcome to the game, ladies and gentlemen. Finally got everything sorted. We will
Well,
catch
let's
up to the rest of the league world as both teams are fanning out in a standard 5-star.
just a standard 5 point on both teams. Nothing too crazy. Maybe Nautilus hook. Hmm? We're thinking about it.
Looks like we're just having a bit of a dance-off in the mid lane. No real fun to be had here. No wild starts. Looks like the Nocturne is going to be starting on the top side, so he will be rotating down towards that bot lane when he reaches level 3. Not the best gank for a Nocturne. Of course, Nocturne wants that level 6 before he can start really punishing the map, but if he can get some pressure and let the Kai'Sa Nautilus get a good dive or get ahead, it could make the win cons a little bit harder for SMG or STN here.
I will say though, each lane on ZM has a kind of a way to set up a gank. Like Galio has the taunt, Nautilus has, hook, auto, and then I mean Nar can, if he's in mega form, can throw uh Mordekaiser into a wall.
On the other hand, though, STN has similar gank setup. Mordekaiser, of course, very good with that pull. Vel'Koz has his knockup, and Seraphine has the roots. So both junglers have very good lane assist here if their laners
Oh,
can land it. As we see some strong trading in the mid lane, both of them going down to half health. The root coming out onto Kai'Sa, so no damage going onto the Zerius. Kai'Sa's down to half health here. Feel like that hook backfired there.
I think it's because they went on two different targets. Nautilus stayed on Zeri, and then Seraphina and Kai'Sa kind of had a little one-on-one there.
We'll have to see if the target selection from ZMG's bot lane improves as the game goes on. Looks like Trundle is moving into the bot side river. Might be floating towards this Galio here, but he's playing safe. He's playing on the top side of the lane. Trundle's moving in anyway. Gonna get that pillar, knock up the Galio. Moving in. The dash is blocked, but the taunt will be enough to keep
Uh-huh.
him alive, just barely flashing out of there. No Summoner's Burn for STN, though. But that does put this Galio in a hole, and we mentioned that the Vel'Koz could be a strong win condition for Stun Gaming here.
Is Trundle thinking about reganking mid? Is that what's happening?
Looks like he's just taking Rift Scuttler.
Oh, nothing too spacey.
A stun coming down here onto the Nautilus, forced to hook out. 150 health, but he will get away here. And Trundle is here in case there's a gank, but unbeknownst to him, Nocturne is on the top side of the map, so no gank coming despite how pushed up STN's bot lane is. Mike Tap's pulled in, forced to jump away. Despite all the action, though, we're pretty even across the board. Got a little bit of a CS lead in top, a little bit of a CS lead in the jungle. But for the most part, these teams are playing it very even here. Are you surprised that we're not seeing more early aggression from both of these teams?
I think it's gonna be pretty calm until when people start hitting 6. I will be interested to see who Nocturne ults first. If it's gonna be like a mid or a bot lane kind of gankaroo.
We see some interesting jungle positioning here as Trundle was sitting up by Nocturne's chickens there for a long minute as Nocturne was taking it, but without Galio in the lane, there was nothing to gank, so he wanders back into his jungle without doing anything. Taunt comes in
Going
onto
in.
Dare. Damage coming out. No damage back onto Mollywops here so far. Good trade by Mollywops, taking Dare down to 300 health. Nocturne is not yet 6, but he is over that wall if he wants to flash over. Well, we said both teams had pretty good lane assist for these junglers, but outside of that early gank onto the mid lane by Unyielding, we haven't seen much action from these junglers at all. Although I might be speaking too soon as Unresponse gets caught out here by the Seraphine. The root comes down. Lizard and Loveless taking a lot of damage on this Nocturne. Goes over the wall. The hook lands. Lizard locked up, but no damage coming out here from Aloon, Alolan Zora rather, forced to walk out of there on about half health. Dare and Mollywops both looking to roam down, but fighting each other in the river rather than continuing their roam. And Mollywops might be in trouble here as the entirety of the bot side of STN is roaming up, choosing to back out there, and that may be Dragon seeded for an early Ocean Drake over to Stun Gaming.
Go look. How close is Nocturne to 6? Because he really needs to get that before he starts.
Let's see, Nocturne is about 1 camp away from 6, so he will have that 6 very soon.
I think at this point, bot lane is almost like a farm lane. Nautilus not really been able to get the hooks he wants or needs.
And the couple of times that ZMG's bot lane has gotten into a fight, it's nearly been disastrous. No deaths so far, but definitely been on the losing end of a couple of these fights.
In that last exchange bot lane, Nautilus was forced to flash out, so he might just be playing safe until he has flash backup.
He does have the advantage, though, of that dredge line to get him out of trouble if he manages to land it correctly, and he does have the Hex Flash for a bit of aggressive play if he so chooses. So that flash is an important cooldown, but he still has playmaking potential if he uses his cards correctly. Looks like we're seeing a lane swap here as STN is sending their bot lane up to deal with the Gnar. That's a bit of a surprise here this early in the game.
They're going for Rift. They rotated their bot lane up to have numbers advantage for Rift.
The very
But
early Rift take.
it looks like ZM doesn't really have any wards down to spot this and is in no position to potentially steal. So first, Rift will go to Blues.
And an unfortunate turn of events for ZMG. They're losing the first Drake and then almost immediately afterwards losing the first Rift Herald. They are leaving that bot lane topside. Nocturne is looking there. He is in range and does have the ultimate available, but was spotted on a ward. Nautilus is in the area as well, as we see fighting in the mid lane. Mike Tap's taking some damage. The Nocturne ult comes in, going on to Seraphine. The hook lands as well. She's running out of health very quickly. She will fall to the Nocturne as STN Lizard is forced to run away, but Unyielding has joined the fight. Knocks up Aulzeren0r. He's running out of health very quickly and will fall to the Zeri. Mike Tap's deciding to disengage, and that's going to be a 1-for-1.
On the bright side, the Kaisa is getting some solo experience right now, so if that can extend into an item lead later on and an XP lead, then there's some potential.
Of course, Elune does have to play a little bit careful here, making sure he doesn't die solo to the Mordekaiser. Would take away all of that advantage. Does look like the junglers will find each other here. Unresponse will get the Galio ultimate. Damage coming down onto Unyielding. He will fall, but Galio is going to pay the price for it as Mike Taps finds STN Lizard on the top side here, but he's running out of health very quickly. Unresponse has no flash and will die in the Baron pit as Mike Taps is chased down by Seraphine and will fall to the Seraphine in the top lane. That was disastrous.
Before that was going to happen, I was going to point out that since Nocturne has been power farming, he is up in a level, but you know. He is about, what, 20 CS above the Trundle? Or wait.
Currently up about 14 CS. But the deaths of 3 members there does make that a little bit less of a happy number for him. As in terms of gold, he's only up about 700. We do see STN is bringing their bot lane to match Mike Taps here. Trundle is in the area as well. Hop has already been used. The pillar comes out, taking a chomp out of Mike Taps. The root comes down from Seraphine, and that's going to be another kill. Given over to the Trundle this time. The ult from the Nocturne coming out onto Vel'Koz, though, but Mollywops isn't in the area. Forced to flash to get that Justice Punch in and get the kill. Meanwhile, the Rift Herald is being summoned in the bot lane. Action all across the map here. But it feels like it's continuing to go in Stun's favor.
Because Stun is being proactive while Zima is being reactive there. Because I assume the reason why Nautilus and Kaisa went top was because they assumed that the lane swap was going to continue.
And things going from bad to worse here. We have the Drake just spawning, and STN has 4 members in place, so that's going to be another Drake over to STN. 2 Drakes at 12 minutes. That's going to be a problem for ZMG if they can't get control of that. Flash ult coming out from Maiden here. Might be a little bit aggressive as the taunt comes out. But Mollywob's running out of health here quickly. Does not have the flash, of course. Used it in the fight on the Vel'Koz, and that kill will be donated over to the Zeri. Well, here's some proactive out of ZMG, though. They're diving the Vel'Koz, and will get that kill. The TP coming out of Maiden OP is not enough to scare them away, but Trundle is here on the backside of this fight, looking to dive in, gets hooked onto turret. The exhaust comes out as well. He very close to dying, but the ult is enough to keep him alive with Maiden OP and Loveless playing spoiler there.
See right there, you kind of saw the strength of Red Side with the ability to dive the Vel'Koz. However, they need to be smart with when they decide to dive. For instance, they need to be fighting around these objectives because if they have the setup and vision around the objective before it spawns, they should be able to get a pick.
We see the ult coming out here
Beforehand.
onto the Mordekaiser. The ult from Seraphine coming out does zone away a little bit. Aulzeren0r is running out of mana here. Will be down to about 150 health, forced to flash away from the Mordekaiser and the Seraphine, but will survive.
Mike is able to get some plates on the bot side. Oh?
The ult or the recall is canceled, and looks like there might be enough damage here from the Galio. Maiden OP trying his best to survive, but the kill is given to that Galio there.
Galio, he has Everfrost. He's going AP, I believe, right? Everfrost into his Zonias, I assume.
That does appear to be the play here. Unyielding and Mollywops have found each other in the river here. Little bit of fighting, but no engages from either team.
Does Nar have TP? Oh,
Nar's
no.
TP is not up for another 200 seconds, it looks like.
We have noticed that under what are they called? Smith, S, and
Stun Gaming.
Stun. Yeah, under Stun Gaming, they've been really on point with being at objectives. I would actually like Nar to be walking up right now so that they can potentially fight for this Rift Herald.
Problem for Gnar is he might be in a potentially weak state here. As you can see on the minimap, he is in his Mega Gnar form right now, so by the time he gets up to that Rift Herald, he will be back in Mini Gnar form and unable to use his ult. We do see Zeri and Trundle starting this up. Nobody from ZM is really responding to this. They're just letting it happen. Feels like all agency in this game is on Stun Gaming. ZMG is very much playing on the back foot here. Rift Herald immediately dropped in the mid lane. What do you think about that immediate usage? Would you rather they held onto it, or do you think that getting this charge off and taking out the mid turret is a good choice to use for this second Rift Herald?
I believe that getting rifting mid is fine here, especially since they saw two members of ZM bot lane. That way, you get more money for your for the Rift Herald, especially since it opens up the map for them because now they can start getting deeper vision on the red side since there's no longer mid turrets.
Mordekaiser will not quite be able to get that top turret, but does get some good damage down on it. Nocturne using the ult, going in here, does get the fear out, and the fear will connect. Gnar is here on the backside as well. The ult from Mordekaiser coming out onto unresponse on the Nocturne here. No shield from Maiden OP, though, will lead to his death and a kill over to unresponse. Now Drake is about to come up. Unresponse just used his ult, and now he's topside. It's probably about time for him to be roaming down to the Drake, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, like red side really needs to get vision control before the objective.
Ooh.
Like it's imperative for them to have this to be able to get these picks before the objective, and so
We see Aulzeren0r getting caught out here. There's nothing he could have done there. I'm not sure if you saw it on your spectator, but Mike Taps just flashed in base. That's a cooldown that they didn't want to waste.
I did not see that, and that's definitely not ideal, especially since now they're about to try to fight 4v5 for this Drake. Which number
fighting.
Drake? This is 3 Drake? This is 3rd Drake?
This is 3rd Drake. It is going to be a Cloud Soul this game, so perhaps less impactful than some of the souls we saw yesterday, but still valuable. And it looks like ZMG isn't going to contest this at all. It's just going to be given straight over. And that means that we will have Cloud Soul available at 22 minutes and 15 seconds.
I think one thing ZM could have done there is try to get at least some either waves or a turret during that, since they knew everyone was going to be at Drake. Try to go get top turret or something if they were going to have to give, instead of just kind of awkwardly standing in the jungle, potentially thinking about getting the Drake, but not actually being able to because it was a 4v5.
Of course, that was made a little bit more awkward by the fact that after blowing his flash in base, Mike Taps did TP in when Aulzeren0r did get caught. We see an ult in from the Nocturne, ulting in onto 3. The Galio ult comes out, but will only knock up 1 as Alun dashes into the backline, but Unyielding turns right onto Alun. No damage coming in onto the STN backline, but Unyielding is running out of health very quickly as STN Dare does join the fight. Mollywops is able to dash out, but Aulzeren0r will be the sacrifice here. Feels like ZMG is in a deep hole here. They're finally starting to show some initiative, finally starting to get some plays together, and it still backfires, still losing one member and gaining none. What is ZMG's path back into this game right now?
Their only way to get back in this game is if Stun Gaming throws the game.
Now,
They
of
have
course,
they have to start capitalizing on mistakes and trying to get those priority picks. The Nocturne Alter wasn't bad because it hit Zeri. However, they regrouped, so he wasn't really able to get the kill before the team was able to turn on ZM.
Now, of course, we've been talking as if this game is completely over and ZMG has very few ways back into this game, but despite that, it is only a 2,500 gold lead, and Nocturne is still up 1,000 gold. So it's not like this game is completely out of the park just yet. There's just been a severe difference in map pressure and objectives between the two teams.
I do believe Kaisa outscales Zeri. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Kaisa. So if they do start hitting, if they are able to make it to late game, in theory, Kaisa can start poking and then hopefully get some kills. And then they always have the Nocturne Galio combo if Nocturne can ult into their team to the correct member and get the Galio knockup.
The one problem with the Kaisa poke is whether or not ZMG has enough time to get to that. Because this Kaisa hasn't built any AP, she's got a long time yet before she gets that upgraded W that will allow her to poke with impunity. So they've got a bit of a long timer before they get there, and if they're not careful about contesting some of these objectives, they might not be able to let that full timer get through.
That's an interesting choice. I didn't even realize that Vel'Koz did not go Leandri's. That's good for ZM. Because I feel like Leandri's on Vel'Koz here would be a lot worse because of the number of tanky boys on ZM.
Well, in theory, I'd agree with you. Gnar hasn't really itemized to be tanky yet. And Galio is going AP, so the only person that he really needs to be concerned about cutting through, if Gnar is not in his mega form, is going to be the Nocturne. Or the Nautilus, rather. So I
It's
think
like
the
Nautilus is building Locket, I believe.
does appear that way.
Um,
We do see Drake is spawning in about 30 seconds here, and STN is positioning for it. If you're ZMG, do you play the desperation card of giving up Cloud Soul in exchange for a Baron here? The ult coming out onto the Mordekaiser here. Mollywops is running out of health here as he's in the Death Realm. Will pop that stopwatch. Maiden OP just tanking the turret. Will not be enough for Mollywops to survive, but he will die to Zorua and Alun roaming up. A 1-for-1 in
I
the top lane.
don't think they can contest this Drake at this point. So I think what they do is push out mid or top and try to get some turret gold. I do not think they burn Baron fast enough.
Well, it looks like they're going to try. The Seraphine is roaming up along with the Zeri, as STN does believe that the Trundle
Nautilus?
will be enough. Gnar and Vel'Koz both TPing, and STN does chase ZMG off of this Baron, so that is soul given in exchange for nothing.
Yeah, I didn't. With the current members they had up there, which was a Nocturne, Kaisa, and a Nautilus, they did not have the damage to burn a Baron fast. So I think their best option there was to either get top turret or mid turret just to get some gold Are there bounties yet, or are they not behind enough to get bounties?
It does not seem, according to spectator mode, like there are bounties. They are only 2,500 gold behind, as we see everyone dogpiling in on Unyielding. He will die here. And Dare may be caught out as well. Does force the flash out of ZF Alun, or ZM Alun rather.
Well, now that they got rid of the jungler, they do have a potential Baron angle. However, I do think that Mordekaiser is going to be an issue.
Mollywops looking to get the pick onto Loveless. Will force the stopwatch out. The Galio ult coming down as well, but the Vel'Koz ult on the other side of the fight cuts through the Nautilus. Mike Tap's running out of health as well here. Will potentially fall to the Mordekaiser. Will fall. But on the other side of the fight, Zeri is separated from the team. Maiden OP chasing down this Galio and will find him as Lizard is chasing down. Unresponse here. Did manage to knock off a Loon on the back of that fight.
And what we talked about at the beginning did kind of happen. No one was able to fully kill the Mordekaiser, and then Vel'Koz got to
full channel and ult into a choke point.
Yeah.
Does not feel good if you're the enemy team. And we do finally have objective bounties for the red team, but it may be too little too late here, as that is Baron buff on the entirety of Stun Gaming.
Well, it looks like Stun Gaming is probably going to try to force the Baron play here and like try to maybe either get inhib or int. So if you're ZM right now, you want to be getting vision around your base and then kind of turtling.
How much
and
good
then try
is...
to...
Sorry. How much good is turtling going to do you here, though? Your ADC's sitting at 1 item. Meanwhile, the enemy Zeri's at 3 full completed items. So if you try and turtle, you're going to find yourself poked out very quickly.
Or they're... Well, either that or they're going to have to try to find a pick on the transition. Like right now, Vel'Koz, the blue team right now is in a 1-3-1 split. So you either focus the Mordekaiser, or my personal favorite would probably be Vel'Koz. He's a lot squishier, a lot easier to kill
Mordekaiser
with
is
a...
roaming down here. Will find the Nocturne, but the Fear will not connect. Maiden OP popping the ult onto Unresponse, forced to run away, try and hide in that red buff pit. Maiden OP in the center of this fight. 3-person charm coming out from Loveless on the backside of this fight. Galio will be the first person to fall. No ult pop from him. Well, it wasn't available, as Mordekaiser is chasing down Mike Taps and a Loon. The rest of STN is chasing the rest of ZMG away, but Maiden OP running out of health here very quickly.
Oh,
Alun will dash in. That was an aggressive play and will cost Alun his life. Mike Taps
I think
forced
this is game. I think with Baron they can end right here.
And that was most likely the nail in the coffin here. Another disastrous fight for ZMG. Alright. You're in the call after this game. You're coaching them up. What do you say to get their heads back in the game and get them on better footing coming into game 2 here? As we see a 4-person taunt out of Mollywops, this game might not be over yet, but Unyielding just whacking on the Nexus and will take it down with the help of Dare. Does end the game here. Alright. You're the coach for ZMG. How do you fix their mental? How do you fix their plans going into game 2?
I think like you just do in baby steps almost. I think one thing that ZM really needs to focus on right now is their objective control. Especially since they now know that Stun Gaming is going to be trying to hard focus the early Drakes and Rifts.
Do you think that changes their draft strategy at all? Do you think they're going to pick a comp that may do better at working with them to secure the map somewhat? Or do you think they'll continue to play to what they feel are their personal strengths?
I'm not entirely sure, because I think there were a few issues that game on being making proactive plays. mainly because it seemed like for a majority of the game we were performing reactively, and therefore we're always either late to objectives or we would proactively try to pick someone, but not maybe keep in mind who could show up.
So perhaps the shot calling needs to kind of calm down and find its footing then.
Probably. Well, if you want, we could probably pull in someone.
We can certainly see about pulling in someone as we're waiting for game 2 to get started here.
We'll wait until after they go through. Oh, I have the next spectator.
Oh,
Did you get the second spectating
I
thing?
have not.
I'll send it to you.
Well, no time wasted here, folks. Seems like we're going to be getting... Is this the right draft link? These seem like different team names.
Maybe that's not the right one. Maybe I lied.
You know, you just can't get good help around here. The ZMG,
But
you know, they...
it's in there. It was their chat. Okay.
This
Wait,
is
who's CSM? I'm so confused.
this is what they give me to work with. This is why we have mediocre stream quality here at ZSM. Oh,
CSM. What?
uh, uh, the link you sent me has CSM on it. It's broken my brain a little bit. We're having a good day here. All right. Well, as they're getting things sorted, and we figure out if we have the right draft link, did you see anything that STN needs to clean up, or do you think that they picked a concept and executed on it pretty well that game?
I mean, overall, it was clean. There were some like small errors on their part, but like they knew what they wanted with the objectives, and then they set up prior and were able to kind of control the map.
Map control was a big part of that game, as ZMG was not able to claw back control after STN took it early on. Looks like we will be having a short break here before we get into draft. Is there anything else you'd like to cover while we wait for draft to get started, or should we send our lovely viewers to a short break here?
Probably should go to a break right now.
Alrighty, folks, you heard it here first. We're going to head to a short break, and we'll be back as soon as draft gets started. Don't go anywhere. Don't miss game 2 here.
Cause we be on a tough love. Oh, we feeling so high. Don't be afraid of falling, cause you know we gon' fly. Cause we be on a tough love. Oh, we feeling so high. Don't be afraid of falling, cause you know we gon' fly. Cause we be on a tough love.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here at the start of picks and bans for round two. We also no longer have Chino with us. He was here with us to give some commentary on what was going through the minds of ZMG in the first game. He may be back here shortly. In the meantime, we do see the instant Zeri ban out of ZMG. I guess they didn't want to face that a second time, huh?
No, I mean right now Ziri is almost pick or ban. I think I've seen her in almost every scrim I've watched the past like 2 weeks since the durability patch came. I don't. And then I'm. And then it also is not surprising to see a Senna ban because Senna is also fairly common currently.
Senna taken off the table, Lucian taken off the table as well, really narrowing this ADC pool. The Kled ban, I suppose, must be a specific ban against STN because
I wonder if they're trying to go for a certain comp because I feel like Kled is normally not a ban.
well, we did see it in game one as well, so I'm wondering if it's something that STN's top laner does tend to play. As we see the Seraphine ban, the final ban out of ZMG here, and the Olaf is STN's final ban. We do
The
apologize.
Seraphine ban also makes sense because she can be flex mid or support, and then depending on what build she goes, she can inflict a lot of damage as well as heal her whole team. So
And Loveless's ult last game, ults plural, were very disruptive to ZMG's attempts at diving. We do apologize for the names on these teams. Not entirely sure what's going on. We don't have control over this lobby, so we're just going with what the Rammus pick out of left field. All right.
it's not a typical first pick
That
because
is
usually you would pick a Rammus into an all AD team. That's usually how that works, but maybe there's some secret strat that they're working up that we don't know about.
it's got to be a bold strat for a Rammus first pick. Guess they got really scared after seeing the ADC run over them in the first game. And with an
Uh,
Aphelios here picked up by STN, may well be poised to do just the same thing.
I will say though, Wukong right now is also a pick or ban kind of champion. That's a very strong pick. And then the Aphelios, I think, is a partial pick away from Elune. Because I believe two of Elune's top champs currently is Aphelios and Samira.
If you're STN here, are you at all concerned about the fact that you're drafting AD champs into a Rammus?
I think it really depends. I think Wukong is just really good right now.
You think it's good enough to overcome that immediate downside? As we see the Jinx here for Alune, not one of his two favorite champions by your recollection, but still strong, especially with that Lulu. As we're waiting here for the final pick of the first half of draft from STN. Looks like the Renata Glask is going to be the lock-in. How are you feeling about this bot lane matchup? You think it's going to be a little bit more favored for ZMG, or do you think they're going to struggle like they did last game?
It's really going to come down to, I think, jungle pressure. Both bot lanes want to scale. However, if Wukong comes or if Rammus comes, it could change the outcome of the lane.
You say that with the assumption that Wukong is jungle. Do you think there's any chance that they rotate that out to top or mid and
I mean,
leave the jungle pick for later?
it is a flex pick, but I mean, they first picked Rammus, so like, there's no real benefit of um hiding your jungle pick, if that makes sense.
Very fair. We see a lot of top lane bans coming out, so it seems like both teams are under the impression that that Wukong is going in the jungle. The Yorick, obviously a target ban onto Maiden OP. STN's top laner, and the
I do
Mordekaiser.
like I do like the Mordekaiser ban because I felt like last game they didn't really have an answer to it other than throwing 2 to 3 people on top of him. And even then, the Mordekaiser kind of either got a kill or lived.
Very disruptive
Was
last game. Pardon me, I did not mean to interrupt you there.
oh no, it's fine. Oh, they're gonna go with the Lysandra pick. So Red Side is going for a full team fight kind of comp with the Wukong Lysandra pick.
Well,
And then the Renata should be able to protect Felios and any dive potential from blue side, especially with that ulti.
it seems like ZMG is willing to take that team fight though. With the Jinx and the Urgot, they're going to be problematic if they can get a couple items ahead, especially with that Lulu backing him up. And the Cassiopeia final lock tells me that they really want a front-to-back team fight once again. Pardon me.
Mhm.
Does that
I
concern you?
think.
Oops, sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say I think each lane is very volatile if got in ahead on blue side. So it's gonna be really up to this Rammus to see that his lanes flourish in this early game, I believe.
Does it concern you at all that ZMG has picked another front-to-back style team fighting comp, given how poorly they performed on that style of team last game?
I feel like the difference here is on who's engaging and where people are going to be positioning. The support is now on an enchanter, which is going to be either buffing, well, really any of them. And then the ram is, I mean, it's going to be their main engage unless there's like a Cassio ult or like Jinx, like chompers. I am a little concerned about Fiora, but I do believe that she just recently got somewhat nerfed. Or is that next patch?
I do not know offhand. We would need to pull that up, but nerf or not, she has the potential to become a dangerous split pushing threat, forcing likely the Urgot to match her. Wouldn't you agree?
Mm-hmm. I think it's gonna be really dependent on who gets ahead on whichever side. Because another I think difference between last game and this game is Molly, the mid laner, is now on a DPS that can sustain damage and not just have like the initial burst like a Galio.
Is that a pick that they're more comfortable with, having the damage as opposed to the burst?
Molly is there as a sub currently. Molly's I think main role is support, but um he is currently filling in for Luna's mid laner.
I see, I see. Any thoughts on STM's comp, what they're going to be looking to do as they get into game and move across the map? Who are they going to be looking to get ahead outside of the Fiora?
I really think that Red Side right now is almost trying to do a 4-1 split with obviously the Fiora splitting and then having the rest of the team fight. But I do think that I feel like the Felios pick is kind of a not reliable pick for the kind of 4-1 split they're trying to do in terms of what his guns may be during at certain points, and then it's really just going to come down to like general skill, I think.
Which might be problematic for ZMG here, as on a rank by rank basis, they are all slightly behind their counterparts on STN. Well, folks, we are trying to get the coach of Luna, or one of the coaches, Chino, in here.
Yeah. Hello, hello. Nice to meet you.
Welcome to the stream, Chino. Perfect timing. Was just talking about you.
Oh.
What kind of
Uh,
insights can you give us on game one? What were you going for? What went
Oh,
wrong, and what have y'all changed going into game two here?
well, I mean, with game one, let's see, we had the Gnar, we had the Galley, we had the Nocturne, Nihilus, Kaisa. It was supposed to be much more of a back to front type of team fight comp. You know what I mean? We had the Gnar waiting to go into Mega Gnar to hop in the back and to just ult them, and then with the Nocturne ult and in the Galio too, it's kind of like where are they? You know what I mean? And then Kaisa ult as well. But I guess we really just our early game was amazing. I just feel as though we just didn't translate our gameplay into the mid to late game. It was kind of rough, especially too, since Zeri, kiting, it just all went bad. I feel as though with this second game, how we drafted, it was pretty. It was just a little bit stronger.
can you tell us more about first picking Rammus? Because usually most people wait to pick Rammus after seeing like a mostly all AD team.
So the Rammus pick, with the Rammus pick, I have honestly no clue. I feel as though maybe if we can get the other coach Glor in here, he can probably explain a little bit more about that Rammus pick. For right now, I don't like the Rammus pick. I honestly have no comment on that. I don't know, so I couldn't give you a proper answer.
Well, maybe you will be able to give us an answer on this. First game, it seemed like there wasn't anyone really shot calling for ZMG. It felt like the team was more responding to things rather than proactively going into fights and taking objectives.
Mhm.
How are y'all changing that going into this game? Have y'all talked with the
Uh,
team? Are
we
y'all working to try and get a shot caller really active?
What's up? We're trying. So right now, like first game, like you did say, we didn't really have a shot color. It was kind of rough at the start because of, I would we didn't really enforce a shot caller yet. This game, I'm probably gonna put the shot calling onto our jungle and our support for early game wise, just because support jungle they impact the map more on the early game. And in late game wise, we'll see as time goes, probably the mid laner or even just the jungler since the jungler's gonna be initiating more.
Yes.
But it was just rough early game. The first game it was just really rough. Let's just hope we can pull a game out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, you had the Rammus pick for us here in game two. Do you have anything else spicy cooked up for game three if we get to it?
Game three, if we do get to it, you guys will see a very spicy bot lane. I
Alrighty,
think. Yeah.
we'll be looking forward to it.
All right. Thank you for having me on the stream.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Okay, now that we're waiting for spectator delay, what are your thoughts of like how these team fights are gonna go?
You know, if I'm STN's coach here, I'm scratching my head wondering what in the world I was thinking having 3 out of my 4 damage dealers being more or less directly countered by the Rammus that you've seen since first pick. That being said,
I feel like assuming like Lysandra doesn't get like overly super fed, I feel like her damage isn't really enough to counteract the Rammus, and then Renata's damage isn't very high either.
that's my concern as well looking at these teams, which may be enough for ZMG to be able to claw back and earn some of that time to get their shot callers comfortable and take this game into their hands. On the other hand,
Interested
though,
to see if Higgler.
oh,
Hey, I'm
speaking
here
of
to
the other coach of ZMG, welcome to the desk, Glor. How are you doing?
yeah. I'm awake per se. I have energy piercing through my veins.
Do you have enough
I've drank
energy
And
to
some
explain
coffee.
the Rammus pick?
I do. I do actually. I want it to be unconventional. I know Rammus is in a really good spot right now, especially. Their jungler doesn't really play a lot of Rammus counters, right?
I mean, he did kind of counterpick himself Wukong into the Rammus.
Well, I mean, Wukong is just that broken right now that he can just beat him early game, right? But the fact is that they decided to pick Fiora and then Aphelios as the instant response to a Rammus, which I don't think is the very correct move. If
We were
you
just saying that as well, that seemed like a interesting choice.
because reality wise, how we are able to like scale on this game, right, is that Rammus doesn't need to be bought, right? Because it's Aphelios Renata, right? If they are
Mm-hmm.
having lane prio, Rammus instantly ganks them. But Rammus should be able to gank Fiora pretty effectively, right? Fiora has to W parry perfectly and then flash away in reality to escape a Rammus gank. That is, if Urgot doesn't immediately flash over as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? And Cassio just roots Lissandra and Lissandra gets CC locked.
Definitely a much easier path to victory than you had in game 1. Any regrets about how you chose to approach game 1, or was that a good way to get your feet wet and get this team used to playing together?
This team has been around for a while. Yesterday, actually, the only scrim victory was with this team. So our only game victory in our scrim was with this team with Molly mid, but it was a different comp that I had an idea with. And but game one, I felt like there were just some like minor building errors, minor build mistakes that also affected the game as well, and also the fact that we couldn't pick Camille as well. So it just kind of hurt us,
Oh,
and we
was the
had to
original
settle for the
intent to
Gnar.
get Camille over Gnar?
Yeah, game one was supposed to have a Camille instead of Gnar. So it would have been Zeri locked up in Camille R with Galio ult and Nocturne follow up in Kaisa ult.
Certainly a very scary combo there, if it were able to be picked. We are
Yeah.
into game 3 here, or game 2 rather.
Game two, game two.
We
It
might
looks
have a
like
game
another
3.
standard 5 point.
All right. Are there any more questions you guys have for me?
What would you like to see from your team this game?
I would like to see better vision around the objectives here. That was a really big issue game one, and I feel like that was a big reason why we also lost, right? Because we were just kind of walking in blind a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and it just didn't really work out because we would go into the objective and they would already like be there prepared, and it would just be walking into a death trap, basically. This game, though, it should be a lot easier for us to get control. I did like. Oh, unresponse didn't go good.
Pardon, you like kind of lagged out at the end.
Yeah, sorry, my headphones unplugged. I was gonna say unresponse should have probably went ghost here. As what are they doing?
An
They're invading.
aggressive late invade here. Looks like the blue buff's going to be stolen away since they had vision on Rammus, but that delays Wukong's clear by a good bit. It looks like Rammus is just going to turn it into a vertical jungle.
All right. Any more questions?
Not particularly right now. We probably will call you one of you back up after the game ends.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us, Glors.
Oh,
Early gank onto the bot side. The flash out from Loveless is not enough as he does get hit, but Renata Glask is able to walk away with just the flash and the heal out of Lizard here. The early gank onto the bot lane, and it looks like Unresponse chose not to take that blue buff as the Wukong of Unyielding is clearing the entirety of his blue side jungle. What do you think of that choice to take that early gank there rather than getting the counter jungle in? Well, it was an option.
my only concern is the fact that it's good to get the summoners early, but will he be able to gank, uh, return gank before the timers are back up? And then on the other side, it looked like Urgot was not respecting the fact that we were vertically jungling there and did not and pushed up and then got ganked.
And that's a hard positioning error to justify, since he knew that Wukong was in that jungle. He did see him at the start, and I do believe he had a ward at the exit of the jungle, so he knew that Wukong had not left that jungle. As we see fighting here in the bot lane, Aulzeren0r run out of health here very quickly, forced to flash as the ignite comes down, but Lizard forced to flash away from the Rammus here as the taunt does not come down onto Loveless. Unresponse just walking in, does finally land the taunt, and Loveless will fall here, going over to Unresponse on the Rammus.
I would have preferred Jinx get that kill, but I mean, if Ed Rammus early on probably isn't too bad. Might be able to extend the lead across the map. I felt like Renata there was dead, especially since we knew she didn't have flash. So I think right there you just give it to Jinx.
We do
I
see
say that as I'm a dirty kill stealer as a sport. So like, I'm saying that, but
Mike Taps once again not giving enough respect to Unyielding here, might find himself on the wrong end of a Fiora Blade and will die to the Wukong. 2 deaths early on for Mike Taps from mispositioning, but we see Unresponse coming in here, does manage to disrupt the Lissandra E. Lissandra is forced to flash away as Mollywops continues putting out damage, but Dare is able to survive. Alun running out of health here too, but will not have enough from Lizard thanks to the polymorph from Aulzeren0r. That was some unfortunate timing for the Lissandra right after her TP to get ganked like that.
Oh, and Rammus is back. I will say though, there has been a lot more proactive ganking on jungler side, except I don't think this one's going very well.
This one is not going well as Aulzeren0r does fall with Alun so low health as well. There's no way that they can stay here, I would think.
Their
But
main issue right there was is they just try to fight inside of a huge minion wave, especially since they had a bad previous trade in the bot lane.
And of course, the problems were compounded by the fact that Aphelios had Gravitum and was able to delay the Rammus from getting on top of him.
I think it's very greedy that Jinx stayed this long. I think she should have just backed and try to get back into lane as soon as possible. I think she was trying to get the XP? Question mark?
Does appear that way, and she is still up on the Aphelios in terms of CS. So not all is lost in that bot lane.
I personally would love this. I don't know if it was possible because I haven't been watching the lane state, but I would have liked for bot or top lane to have tried to freeze its wave by its turret.
Looks like he missed that cannon there. That is an unfortunate, unforced error by Mike Taps. And this big wave will, of course, push out to the
It looks
Fiora.
like Wukong is walking right into a Rammus. That's not the real one.
Gets out over the wall. Unfortunately for Mollywops, though, forced to burn that flash just as a protective measure to get away from the Lissandra. Mid laners are hitting 6 here. Top laners are shortly following. So we'll start seeing some ultimate action here. Looks like Rammus is thinking about lane ganking the bot lane again. Really paying a lot of attention to this Jinx and Lulu.
I'm pretty sure was it Chino who was mentioning how we don't need to be focusing bot this game. But I guess the vertical jungle kind of changed the direction. Oh no,
Unresponse
Lissandra.
here finds himself in a bad spot as Dare is the first to roam, does put that ult down on a Loon, may not have enough damage here, as we see fighting in the top lane as well, but Unresponse does fall to that counter gank from Dare and Unyielding. And it looks like that may be an early Hextech Drake here over to STN.
I cannot see ping, so I don't, or maybe I can. Did mid ping that Lissandra was missing? But it may have been called. Might have been just called in comms.
It does not appear that they pinged any missing, so it must have been in comms.
Were they able to get any platesmen? No.
Looks like Mike Taps here does have that Fiora ult popped on him. Fiora will choose to dive here, does not have quite enough damage, will just take a turret shot for her troubles and force Mike Taps out of lane here at the cost of his flash.
I will say though, this Fiora is starting to get out of control again, so they're gonna need some sort of intervention before she becomes the bigger problem.
Already 1-0-1, up 13 farm, and has this big wave that Mike Taps can't catch with his TP because it's down.
Oh, they're doing. It looks like Red Side is doing a similar strategy of last game, where they send their bot lane up to go get control over Rift Herald.
Doesn't look like ZMG has realized this or chosen to figure it out, as only now are Alun and Aulzeren0r starting to rotate up there. Fortunately for them, Unyielding is taking a little bit longer to get to the Rift Herald, so they may have enough time to make it here and turn this into a fight.
It looks like they're not contesting it. It looks like Lulu's about to go face check and see what's happening.
She does face check, does see this Wukong here. Rammus is there. Looks like he's going to start that power ball. It's going to be a little bit late as Unyielding does pick up the Herald. The taunt coming down onto Lizard as Loveless comes in, and Dare is on the backside. Lizard is running out of health and will die to the Cassiopeia, but Mollywop's running out of health here as Aulzeren0r is very low as well. Mollywop's trying his best and will survive the Wukong, but Aulzeren0r falls on the backside to the Lissandra here. Unresponse gets ignited by Loveless. Will not be enough as Dare gets saved by the Renata Glask. Alun running out of health very quickly will fall to the Renata Glask, but that is a 4 for 2 in a absolutely wild fight all across the river. What went wrong for STN there? They got the Herald, they had a good collapse there, and how'd they lose that as Mollywop's flash gets flashed on by Unyielding and will lose his life?
And then Cassio ult. And then picking 80 damage carries into Aramis. I also do believe that Jinx was not the primary focus early on in that fight. So she was able to actually get AoE rockets off. Oh no.
Mike Taps once again being harassed by Maiden OP here. Lots of damage coming down, but Mike Taps with that ult and the final turret shot is able to take down Maiden OP. Getting a little greedy there, took too many turret shots. The junglers find each other in the blue side wolf pit. Taunt comes out. Unresponse does get the wolf. Unyielding popping the ult to try and buy some space, but it will not be enough as that kill is granted to the Jinx. Renata Glask is able to disengage, but a little bit of an overextension there from the monkey.
And that's what I was talking about earlier with the potential almost kind of counterpicking yourself in the jungle with the Wukong and Rammus. However, I mean, Wukong is at a very powerful juncture right now, so in theory,
Gank coming out on a mid. Lizard is running out of health here. Might be able to, does pick off Aulzeren0r. Survives thanks to the Renata Glask for just a second, but it is not enough. The Berserk is not able to kill either of these two units, and Fiora will not be there in time. Alun and Unresponse are able to get out at the cost of one person. They get two.
For it's always the little sacrifice for the greater cause.
Has died the most in this game, but also has a good number of assists, so making those kills worth it.
I will say though, with Jinx being 5-1 right now, that is very good for blue side. Although Fiora is a little ahead, even though she did just kind of die to Urgot. I bet Jinx should be able, if protected correctly, should be able to melt red side team.
Should be able to. However, Unresponse, with a bit of an unfortunate back timing, will not be here in time for this Drake start. So ZMG is forced to posture without their jungler for this Drake. However, it looks like STN is a bit more concerned with bush cheesing than they are with actually fighting this Drake. They will catch out Mollywops here, and she is going to find herself forced to use that ult. will get 2 stuns, but is not enough as Unyielding trying to zone for Lizard. Unresponse does manage to take him down. Lizard will fall as well. Dare in the
that was
backside, not able to enter that fight. Will be flashed on by a Loon. Might have enough damage here to take out the Lissandra, and does. That's 3 more kills for the Jinx.
And since they were able to get all of those kills fairly early, the Urgot was able to teleport top to meet Fiora. I will say, did the Philio's ult backwards there? Did you see that?
I think he did. Bit of an oopsie there from the Aphelios. In what was otherwise a fairly well-positioned fight. Did get dove by the Rammus, but did his best to stay out of trouble. Was not enough though, and this Jinx is scary. 8-1-2.
He may have been down 2 items last game, but he's definitely not going to be that way this game. Hopefully, you know. Assuming the current trend.
Of course, thanks to the early turret plate gold, we do see that this game is even, or STN is slightly ahead, just a couple hundred gold, depending on when you look at that tracker. So despite playing much better, ZMG still has a little bit of a hole they've got to keep themselves from falling into. However, most of that gold difference is on the Renata Glask, which is less than ideal.
That's because Lulu keeps sacrificing herself at the beginning of the fight.
Turns out if you die, you don't earn very much gold. Take that into your ranked games, folks.
However, I think Renata has been alive at the end of most of those fights.
Renata has, well, she has tied for the most on her team. However, her Ws have saved the life, at least temporarily, of a couple of her compatriots here, so she has had some good value for this SDN team.
Hopefully they do see this Lissandra making their way downtown.
Looks like it was pinged out, and having the Rammus here to counter gank, it looks to be enough of a dissuasion that the Lissandra decides to head back towards the mid lane.
Currently, Wukong is counter jungling the Rammus on his blue side, but
He's been living in this blue team's blue buff jungle, hasn't he?
yep. Well, he has most of the timers. I think blue side was able to get one blue buff earlier. Oh, Molly, that's not a great place to be.
Maliwap finding himself out of position here, may find himself at the receiving end of a Wukong, but Wukong choosing to disengage rather than taking that fight.
Oh, they're gonna try to go for the Herald.
Yeah.
Herald play.
Is up 30 CS at this point over the Rammus. Is it worth all of that CS loss for the kind of effect that Rammus has had on this game?
I mean, if I would be pretty happy with AN1 Jinx, but that's me.
That's fair. The flash onto, or away from Dare, trying to get out from this Rammus. The ult comes out to get him over the wall, but the immediate Wukong ult 2 counter will lead to Unresponse's death. The ult from Mollywops does not stun anyone, as Maiden OP was facing the wrong way. Mike taps will fall as well, and Mollywops forced to run here as Maiden OP is chasing him down. Unyielding and Dare, no damage taken by either of them. The Rift Herald was secured, although it looks like nobody picked it up.
Wait.
Nope, it was immediately triggered in the mid lane. It just didn't show up in the items bar. Fair enough.
I will say, I think the real reason why blue side did not win that fight there was partially because Casio got trapped on the other side of the wall, and their most fed player, the Jinx, was not there. So,
on the plus side, the Rift Herald did only lead to the first tier mid turret, so it wasn't quite as destructive and disruptive of a Rift Herald as last game's second Herald was.
Cassiopeia is shown to be pinging the Drake, which is going to be spawning in like a minute. So I hope that means that we will get some more priority over Drake, especially since right now they actually have the Jinx down there.
Does appear to be that way. Rammus even forcing out the flash from this Renata. could be a valuable cooldown as they position for this dragon. They do have a vision line and the pressure line here as Rammus is going in deep. Looks like he's trying to catch this Lysandra out, but will be rooted. Will just walk away. And
Like this will
this
be a 5v5 over this Drake.
looks like it. Uh, ZMG does have priority, but STN has a perfect pincer here if they choose to use it. Wukong is alone on this bot side, will get
Oh.
caught by the stun, and will absolutely delete himself. Kill goes over to Mollywops, and that should be the Drake given over here to
I
ZMG.
believe that at least one member of ZM should be trying to save mid turret. To be clear.
Should be, but it does not appear that that's the case. The only one moving over there is the Aulzeren0r, and that will not be enough. That mid tier 2 goes down.
So although Red Side did lose Drake there, they were able to pick up an important objective, which was the tier 2 mid turret. It's all about exchanging. So
And it feels like STN is continuing to win these exchanges despite having some unfavorable fights and picks.
so wait, does that mean it's gonna be Infernal Soul? Is that what that
It,
means?
it will be an Infernal Soul we are looking at. However, neither team is particularly close at 19 minutes. The Drake score is only 2-1. So it will be quite a bit before we see an Infernal Soul if we see one this game.
I do like the Leandries on the Cassia. It'll help. I'm just a big proponent of Leandries. It's just such a good item right now.
Even into a team like STN that's lacking in pure frontliners.
Hey, it's damage over time.
Damage over time is better than damage all at once, I suppose. In theory. Looks like STN does have vision priority on this Baron, but neither team has a whole lot of vision down on the map right now.
It also looks like both supports went Shirelia's. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
It does, and the Renata Glask is getting very close to finishing that what looks to be a Chemtech Putrefier. An interesting decision, I suppose mainly targeted at the Cassiopeia for her healing, since none of the other members have particularly aggressive healing. Barring the Lulu ult, I suppose.
Lysandra finished her hourglass. And then Cassio has Rylai's and Leandri's. So she's slowing and burning.
She's going to be a major disruptor in these fights if she can get into position. Ram is looking at going into the Wukong here, but decides not to, just rolling around in circles. And again, these teams are positioning, but not taking these fights. You know, I've got to say, I'm pretty sure that's the first cannon minion I've seen Mike Taps actually get this game.
That's kind of mean, but I mean, true.
Every time the camera has panned and he's been farming away, he's missed it by about one hit. And it shows he's down 54 CS rather. So struggling to keep up that farming in comparison with his Fiora, but has been a little bit more active in some of these team fights.
I will say though, if a similar case happens this game that happened last, where it was just the jungler support and ADC alive, they would be able to take Baron with this Jinx. It looks like Lulu's pinging the Drake spawning soon. I like they're being more proactive on really trying to get these Drakes and objectives.
Definitely doing a better job than last game. I believe they were 4-0'd for Drakes. Was that right? last game?
I'm pretty sure they did not get a Drake last game. No, I
In
think
fair,
they may have gotten one. I can't remember. It's all a blur.
either way, they're ahead in Drakes this game, which is a marked difference from last game.
I will
However,
say though, this vision line is kind of to be desired right now on blue side.
yeah, that's about what I was gonna say. Is STN has done a great job of pushing up, of forcing ZMG out long enough that they can get these pink wards in place, forcing the teleport from Mike Taps to push them back long enough that they can clean out these wards. I'm not sure about blowing that cooldown. However, we're seeing a second verse, same as the first of the previous Dragon fight, where ZMG has massive priority in terms of placement, but STN is ready to pincer here. Unyielding coming in from the backside as Dare finds himself very close to dying, but Jinx is the first one to go down. Dare manages to survive, but is taken out by Mike Taps' ult. Unyielding slow to fall here as Unresponse gets eaten slowly by this Fiora. Mollywops and Alolan Zora forced to run away from Maiden OP and Unyielding here. Maiden trying his best to chase down the Mollywops, but will not get it. Unyielding might be a little bit too low for that cheeky assassination that he was thinking of. The Drake is picked up by STM in the middle of that scrum. And that was about the worst fight possible for ZMG, having that Jinx popped early and not having the ability to let her go ham.
They actually focused to Jinx that fight. In the previous fights, they did not. I guess they're learning their lesson. Oh no,
This
I
is a
don't think that's. I don't think Wukong is big, like healthy enough for that.
That was a dangerous decision. STN chooses to reconsider and backs out of that before any damage can be taken.
That was Jinx Rocket too. So if they had stayed on that Baron the way they were, I'm pretty sure Jinx Rocket would have killed Wukong.
I do believe you are right. That was far closer than was comfortable.
So in that fight, they kind of blocked themselves into the Dragon Pit, which then allowed the Lysandra and then Fiora and pretty much everyone who you don't want on your Jinx on your Jinx. So how do you think they should position in the next fight?
Well, frankly, I think their positioning was fine. I think they have a problem with vision. They didn't have any vision on the backside of the Drake pit. Wukong was able to sneak behind that pit, go over the wall unseen, and landed a three-person ult centered on the Jinx. If they had been able to see and account for the Wukong earlier in that fight, I think they could have turned that.
Previous one where they just kind of Cassio ulted the Wukong trying to sneak around the
Exactly.
previous Dragon Pit.
That's the good ending to that fight for ZMG. Unfortunately, they had their thumb on the wrong page in the Choose Your Own Adventure book, and they picked the bad ending this time. So it'll be a matter of the next Drake to see whether they get it right or wrong. I'm a
I'm
little.
pretty sure Urgot use his TP last fight too.
He did use his TP very early in order to get some vision.
So currently, I think Fiora currently has TP advantage over blue side and is currently trying to pressure this Baron.
I am concerned, though, that despite the lead that this Fiora
Oh
has,
no.
she is up 3,000 gold, but she's not really pressuring Mike Taps here. She seems content just to farm, and I don't think that's the right decision here.
Our vision. Oh, Renata has almost double the vision score of Lulu currently.
Yeah, these vision numbers are not favorable to ZMG. Fairly even across the board, except for that support, and it's a marked difference between the two of them. But as we see the damage that comes out from this Fiora onto Mike Taps, it it baffles me why Maiden OP isn't going harder into these confrontations, popping the ult, running him down under turret. As a fed Fiora with full item advantage almost. It feels like he should be really pushing this lead that he has.
It might have been because of that last tower turret dive that she did, where she got hit by a turret shot and then immediately got ulted and died.
That's fair, but
Might be respecting it a little bit too much. Dragon is about to spawn soon, so I think you put a like kind of throwaway word on Baron just to make sure they're not doing it, and then you really need to start setting up your vision line. And it looks like Lulu's backing. Probably ran out of wards.
Meanwhile, your advice seems to have been taken by STN, who does have a throwaway ward on Baron and is pushing up here deep into the blue team's jungle to get some strong vision and clear out what ZMG has been able to put down.
I mean, look at the vision line on both sides right now.
It is a marked difference. As we see, the Rammus going in hard does find himself hitting the fake Wukong as Dare goes in over the wall and might be regretting that. The Berserk comes out onto 3, but Dare will find himself dying. Unresponse falls as well. Maiden OP does not have quite enough, will fall, but Unyielding taking out the backline here. Lizard taking out Aulzeren0r and Jinx, the sole survivor, forced to run away. That was a disastrous fight, despite starting out fairly well for ZMG.
I think Rammus is diving too deep. He doesn't like with their current setup. It's kind of like Rammus is like in the back lane, and then Urgot's just kind of like in the front of his team. There's no one else diving with him, so I think they need to be playing the front to back a little bit. They need to be playing front to back and not half dive, half front to back.
How much?
Because Rammus also really needs to also be helping to peel this Jinx. Their whole damage right now is Jinx and Cassio, so they really need to be protecting the Jinx from dying to like Lysandra or Wukong. How has Rammus been itemizing? He has a Thorn Mail currently.
He does ult in, is not able to steal, and will die for his crimes here. The ult only lands onto 1 stun. Unyielding will die for it, but the Berserk hits all 4 members, and that's going to be enough, it looks like, for STN to get out here. You know, I can't
That was communicating there, because it felt like Cassio did that play, and then her team was not ready. There was a slight delay on the damage follow up.
Yeah, that felt like a 5 people individually walking into a fight. No shame on Unresponse. He gave a valiant try to steal that Baron. Didn't quite have it, but the rest of his team, it seemed like, tried a little too hard and a little bit too sporadically to clean up there.
And Renata just got the little blue buff there? Okay.
The gulf between Fiora and Urgot only continues to lengthen as Urgot's about to find himself Flame Horizon here.
Oh, that's not ideal.
On the other hand, the bot laners do have a fairly similar difference, but Aphelios is only 1,400 gold behind thanks to the 9 kills that he has. That Aphelios is just as scary, and Aulzeren0r here, wrong place, wrong time, forced to burn that ult to survive.
Did Rammus just ult over that wall, or is that...
He did ult there. Did burn his ult in protection of that Lulu. But Fiora wasn't continuing that fight, so it was a bit of a wasted decision. We gave ZMG praise earlier in the game for taking their mistakes from the first game and learning from them. They were making proactive decisions, but it feels like some of that has fallen to the wayside, and they're back to making poor decisions when they make proactive decisions.
It seems like they're kind of autopiloting now. Zeem is kind of in this game, but they're just slowly bleeding.
Mike Taps runs out of health so quickly when hit by that Fiora, now that she's up to 3 full items. However, this Baron is about to run out, so the push not able to get a whole lot out of that Baron buff. They do get the bot tier 2, but that's about it. Rammus managing to land the taunt on the Aphelios, but unyielding knocks up 3 members. Will die for his crimes. Maiden OP trying to get around the backside, but choosing to fight Mike Taps instead of engaging the rest of the team, which may be the correct decision here. Will get the kill there, but Rammus has entered the fight. Maiden OP running out of health thanks to the Jinx, and will die there, leaving Lissandra the sole survivor on STN.
Baron Dragon is about to be up. I would love for ZM to clear out the vision on their jungle and set up a vision line around Drake right now. It is going to be the soul, correct, for red side?
Yes, and it will put blue side at soul point if they're able to take the Drake. However, they seem a bit more concerned with pushing out this mid lane.
You know, like, I understand the need for a turret, but that was the prime time to be safely getting vision. I don't know how much they will get.
They do have some prio here. Does appear that all members are on the map for ZMG, but Urgot choosing not to join this fight. He does have the TP available if needed. Maiden OP choosing to walk down to the fight rather than waiting. Dare going over the wall, gets immediately polymorphed after ulting onto Mollywops. The taunt comes down onto Dare. Dare running out of health very quickly as Unyielding ults in to try and disrupt a Loon. Will manage to do so after the Lulu ult comes out onto him. Lizard with a dash forward is able to kill 2 members of ZMG here. Maiden OP zoning away Mollywops and Alolan Zoroa. Will likely have enough damage to take out Zoro here, and that's going to be the Infernal Soul for... Ooh, failed flash by Alolan Zoro. That's a Infernal Soul for STN.
Right there, Jinx peeled going up towards the mid lane, while everyone else went down. So then at a certain point, Jinx was just kind of alone. They really need to protect the Jinx. Like Cassio's big, but they need Jinx alive. Jinx is their win con.
And with Cassio dead here, first member to be up is going to be Unresponse. How much damage will STN be able to get here before people begin to respawn? It looks like they might have enough. They will end the game here. Well, a better showing from ZM, but still not enough. How did things go so wrong for them?
Protect their win con. Their win con was the Jinx over the Cassio.
And they just failed to keep the Jinx alive in that fight. Partially through Jinx's own fault, but still makes it a little bit hard to ride that Jinx into the sunset.
When they split to back up, the Jinx and two people followed Cassio, one person followed Jinx. Was the Rammus, but Rammus kind of went poof.
Despite being a counter pick, the Rammus did just get eaten by that Aphelios. It looks like we are going to have a game 3 here, perhaps.
Oh, is it a 3 block?
It appears so. I have been invited to a third lobby, so folks, we may be getting a third game for you here. We will hold our breaths here and see, although it appears that the mid laner may be changing for ZM here.
That is their normal mid laner, by the way.
Alrighty. Well, in that case, we have confirmed it that we will be swapping mid laners. Mollywops will be stepping down, and Lenovier will be rejoining his team. Alrighty. While we get this third lobby set up, we may have got it starting already. No rest for the wicked here, folks. Alright, third game. This is the last chance for ZM to get back some brownie points and kind of earn back the faith that they've lost over the first two games. How do they quit losing the pressure that they gained in the early game?
They need better vision. That was a vision game. I would like at the end of today's scrim for ZM to look back and watch the enemy support and how she was able to get such high vision score. Because I mean, I'm also guilty of it too. But like,
It's the support curse after all. Either you have 200 vision score at 30 minutes or you have 20 at the end of the game, and there is no in between.
so I think because they were a lot better though at being at Drake, at least Drake's, like on time. It's just they really needed to protect their drinks. That's about it. Because when they were protecting the Jinx and Jinx wasn't dying, she was resetting.
Going into game 3 here, do you expect Chino and Glors to pull out a similar comp, a front-to-back comp, like they've pulled in games 1 and 2?
I do believe it's going to be another front to back.
What do you think SDN is going to play? They've played two fairly similar comps here, strong knockdown and engage. Do you think they're going to continue to play a similar matchup, or are they going to experiment a little bit now that they're secure in their victory in the... That is one of the team's links. You might not want to use that.
Heck, when I clicked on it,
Pardon?
it's a that was the spectate link that I clicked.
Well, I am fairly certain that that extra bit at the end is what makes it a drafting link, but I do have a spectate link ready for when these folks are ready to draft game 3. Oh, perhaps we spoke too soon, folks. It does appear that Lenovier has left and Mollywops has returned, so we may be continuing to see Mollywops.
Apparently, I'm echoey. I don't know what that means, but apparently, I'm echoey.
We'll pull you down a little bit and see if that helps. Ah, so it appears that ZMG has decided to role swap, so Mollywops will be taking over in the top lane, and Mike Taps will be moving to the mid lane.
Oh, they're not having their thing. Okay. Is Mike a mid laner?
Well, he is now. We will see how well that goes for him. Well, as they get everything set up here and get prepped for draft, we will step away for just a short minute here until draft gets started. Don't go anywhere, folks. Game 3 will be starting soon.
stepping up to the competition. Only first place, and that's how I'm living. I'm winning till they digging up my grave. Eating all the things up on my plate. Game face when I step up into place. I was born and when I watched me elevate. I was born and when I watched me elevate. I was born and when I watched me elevate. I was born and when I watched me elevate. I was born and when I watched me elevate. All in when I show up. Whole place about to blow up. Superior to that competition. I'm in first place, and that's how I'm living. I'm winning till they digging up my grave. Eating all the things up on my plate. Game face when I step up into place. I was born and when I watched me elevate. I was born and when I watched me elevate. I was born and when I watched me elevate.
Two, one. Welcome back, folks. We are into the third games draft here. Bans coming out from both sides. We have STN Gaming on the blue side and ZMG trying to reclaim their broken honor on the red side.
It looks like they still don't want to deal with the Seraphine, which is fair. I wouldn't either, to be honest. And it looks like well, what am I keep forgetting their name. What's the enemy?
Stun Gaming, STN.
Stun Gaming, yeah. It looks like they're going with the same bans with the Sun Illusion.
Well, they haven't lost any of these games. Why would they want to change it? Looks like ZMG is going with much the same bans that they went with in Game 2. The Seraphine, Zeri, and Kled, albeit in a slightly different order. And a Caitlyn lock-in right off the bat. That's a bit of a marked change from the ADCs that have been picked up to this point. What do you think that tells us about STN's game plan going into Game 3?
I just don't know why they're putting themselves as CSM. Like, I don't understand what CSM stands for when it's called Stun.
Confusing some morons. I assume we're the morons.
Okay. Aphelios Thresh. It's a spicy pick. Oh, I think this is that spicy pick they were talking about.
It was hinted to us that they had a very spicy bot lane in store for Game 3. However, this Caitlyn pick, I feel like, is going to throw a wrench into some of those works, since Caitlyn's got a very different feel from the ADCs that they've been facing up to this point.
I will say, though, it's early game. I'm pretty sure Caitlyn is better than Aphelios. And then we saw Renata last game versus the Lulu. But this time, when Thresh engages, he might have some issues with the Renata Q.
And the Renata last game with her ult was able to change the face of some fights. I'm almost surprised that they didn't put a ban towards that Renata, knowing how effective it was last game.
Waiting for the Zac top. That's what I'm waiting for.
Okay, this is still a game that's on stream. It's being cast. I don't think they're gonna troll us quite that hard. Although they are swapping around players, so it's entirely possible. But
Oh wait, Molly. Wait, because Molly went top, right? Oh, what's that pick?
that is a no pick. Let's see if we can get some information from the teams as to what that was supposed to be. Looks like
That's
that is a
Mordekaiser.
Mordekaiser. All right, folks. So the missing champion is going to be a Mordekaiser heading into the top lane for Mollywops, who is swapping up to that lane.
I guess that's a less spicy pick than Zac top, but I
Yeah.
could have hopes and dreams to see it.
Uh,
Oh, and we just missed the ban. Okay.
everything is going wrong today. Let's see what that was supposed to be for a ban. Fiora.
Fiora. Okay. Okay. A little delayed there, but
Fair enough, I suppose. As we see the Galio return ban from STN. Galio, of course, was fairly impactful in Game 1 for ZMG, but was not enough to stem the bleeding tide of that first game.
But Molly was the one who played Galio mid, and Molly's now top, and is going Mordekaiser.
This is true. However, it's possible that STN simply chose not to factor that in. As we see another missed ban from ZMG, it appears they're having some issues.
Apparently, they cannot click on their thing anymore. Their okay. That was a Lissandra ban for second ban.
The Lissandra being taken out of the hands of STN Dare. I'm not so sure I agree with that. I don't feel like Dare was incredibly impactful that game on the Lissandra. He certainly played well, but I don't think he was the
Oh,
final nail in that
we we
game.
we were able to. Oh, that's an Ornn. Is that Ornn mid? Is it
That
Mordekaiser mid? Is it Mordekaiser jungle? These are all questions I have.
Mordekaiser ADC, Aphelios jungle.
Look, oh, they did say something spicy.
Yeah, but I was hoping for, cayenne spicy, not Thai food that makes you regret ever living spicy.
Camille. Okay.
Camille's a strong pick into both the Ornn and the Mordekaiser. Even with the Divine Sunder nerf, still a very strong champ, especially with the late game power of that empowered Q. Once again, STN picking strong solo laners with the perhaps intent of split pushing. We see the Orianna as the final pick here for STN to round out the comp.
I guess it's pretty good because she can ball either Shyvana or Camille, and get a decent ulti Ori ult.
Or she can hold the ball to herself and try and counter engage the Ornn and Mordekaiser. Anivia is the final choice here, so I guess that is a Mordekaiser jungle. That is a heck of a draft here. Whole lot
So
of.
many. Molly's the one who plays the Nivea though.
Well, we'll see how well Mike does at it.
Maybe it's a Nivea top or in mid. Hmm? No, probably not. I'm probably.
I have a sneaking suspicion that Anivia into Camille would be a very bad time, since Camille's hook shot makes Anivia's wall a little bit how do you say, worthless?
Hey, that's fair. Did you know? Did you know? Like Orin doesn't Orin destroy Nivea walls too? Or
I do believe he does.
it doesn't
Of
matter because they're on the same team. Or does it matter?
I do believe you can destroy
False.
team walls, yes. Well, as the teams draft in game and we suffer through spectator delay, does it appear like there's any chance we'll get one of the coaches in for a little bit of thoughts on what's going on and what they're thinking about game 3 and their personnel changes?
Let me looky. I am gathering infant. Oh, there it is.
Hey,
Hello, Glor.
Welcome back to the party, Glor.
it's not been a fun party, but
It
Hey, I see people in the watch party, so there's probably a lot. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At least 6
oh,
people watching.
great.
all right. So what happened? The team was doing so well the first half of that second game, and they just collapsed on themselves.
Fiora. So the game plan initially was for Rammus to camp top, right?
Mm-hmm.
And response and they had invaded us, right?
Yes.
And response said that he couldn't have vertical jungled on Rammus, which was interesting. Though of course no flame towards him. Uh so the blue buff of the enemy, I believe, didn't get taken until like 9 minutes in.
He chose to, I think, run bot, blue Renata flash, and then never went back to the blue buff. I don't think. For a while, at least.
Um but we're talking about the enemy blue buff.
Yes, I know.
It was just interesting. I had thought that Alun, when he is given the tools, he can carry well, and it was just unfortunate. That's all it really can be. It's just extremely unfortunate. That's
Going
why this game, I'm more so testing things out.
So
going
for this one, you lane swap top and mid. So what is the thought process behind that?
Well, Leno had showed up, like not like 10 minutes ago, but I wasn't going to have him play considering he is super late already, and that's
Mhm.
not really a good example. Because I was very lenient with that before, but now I have to start putting my foot down, and Chino helps me with that as well. And we just wanted to try it out, right? Because Mike had brought up to me, personally, that he wants to see if he can play mid potentially and do a role swap. And given his pool is mostly control mages, I said, okay, we can try it out. And Molly plays top and mostly can play Set or Ornn, and they give us Ornn. So pretty simple.
Okay.
do do you have any plans in place to manage some of the positioning mishaps that happened in some of the later fights in the previous game?
Yes.
Would you care to expound on that at all, or is yes as much as you're willing to share on?
Yes, for right now.
Okay,
Because Alun sends me the VODs, and I watch over them in the middle of the night writing notes down.
very fair.
Uh, so for this game, you guys picked Aphelios Thresh. How do you think that's going to play out into the Renata Caitlyn?
It's sort of a losing lane. Thresh is the best support for Aphelios because he's everything that Aphelios wants. He's an escape and he's also an engager. This Renata was kind of mega aggressive, and since it is Caitlyn, it is an aggressive bot lane. So at this point, it shouldn't really be an issue for say. Like they can just play back, and then Aphelios will scale better than Caitlyn because Caitlyn build right now I think is like Titanic because of how bad the champion is. So I don't think I think past 15 minutes we have a real good shot here per se. If they don't get like a crazy wombo ultimate with Oriana and Camille.
Do you have any concerns? Maiden OP has done a great job in games 1 and 2, that it's STN's top laner, at split pushing on the champs he's been given. Are you at all concerned that this Camille is going to become a split pushing problem in game 3 as well?
I do, but I think that if we are smart enough to take the disadvantage fights where we can able to call in the Ornhorn early and really just take the fight over because Oriana can't solo carry fights anymore, I think we're in a good spot.
Did you have any particular messages for your folks in comms as you were heading into this game? Anything that you wanted them to focus on in particular? Any micro
Yeah,
mechanics?
Alun, you got to get 85 CS with the Soraka CS draw. That's all. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Anything else you'd like to tell our viewers this evening before we get into game 3 here in about a minute?
No, not really. Right now, most of it's just under the wraps and my thoughts right now. I'm not ready to reveal.
Well, that's fair.
Totally understandable. A coach can't put all his cards on the table, I suppose. Any
Uh,
questions from you before we let Glors go?
I was gonna say, how do you want these team fights to happen with the Nivea? Like,
So, the ideal team fight for us would be Mordekaiser activates Ghost, Ornhorn is called, and then we can instantly just go ahead and follow up with a Nivea putting the wall behind to stop them from running and putting down the I forget Nivea's alt name.
Absolute zero.
Absolute Zero, thank you. That is how I would prefer for us to find a fight, but I am perfectly fine with going for picks, especially since we have a Nivea Mordekaiser. And Mordekaiser jungle is extremely strong right now. And it does like manhandle Shyvana because Shyvana can never kill Mordekaiser early game. So Mordekaiser can just live in her jungle.
I was trying to do the reverse of last game where Wukong just lived in the blue side jungle.
Yeah. It should be the opposite this game. Should be, of course. But yeah.
Well, we're loading in now, so hopefully we see a W at the end of this.
Hopefully. If not, listen, guys. We can blame China for this one, okay?
Maybe we should cut that out of the VOD. Don't want that one to be publicized, perhaps.
Oh, of course, of course, of course.
We're trying to keep these guys' spirits up, you know?
Yeah, of course, of
And
course.
knowing that
That's
one of their
why we
coaches is
have
completely
Aphelios.
worthless is
No, I never said that. I never said that at all. I said we blame Chino for the loss.
I
I
see, I
never
see.
said. I have respect for my fellow coaches, even though I'm a horrible coach myself. But thank you.
Thank you for joining us, Glors, and we'll be rooting for ZMG as they go into game 3 here.
Thank you.
And we're loading in.
A lovely Halloween-themed dark map for me.
Hey, yep, same for me. You have to try to what I did last time was I just kept clicking on the little bar until it
We do love Riot Games, don't we? Nothing
small indie company.
ever works quite right.
I mean, the first game we had we just it just closed itself. It was just like, nah, we don't want to work. Okay, it's working again.
There we go. Welcome to game 3, folks, as we've finally gotten into game here.
Is it
Hopefully.
like just loading us faster than what we're supposed to be seeing? Is that what's happening?
I guess it's possible. One can never guess what is going on at Riot Games.
It looks like another standard 5 point. Yep.
Does, although we see slight differences between the two teams. We've got the mid laner for red matching into the jungler for blue, and vice versa.
Oh,
Early purchases here. Are you at all surprised that the Anivia did not choose to go for a Tear of the Goddess?
man. I mean, Anivia. Honestly, Anivia isn't so mana hungry until she's 6 when she starts putting down the her ulti. So I think she can survive going the Doran's ring, but I don't really know what's standard on Anivia now. Let me look. Let me look it up.
It appears that Shyvana is not getting a leash, which might put her just a touch behind the Mordekaiser here as they move through their early jungle clears. Does attempt to get the cheese out onto the Ornn, takes him down about 300 health, but still above half health. Mollywops is not too concerned about this.
It, well, apparently the standard starting for Anivia right now is the Doran's ring. It has a 52% win rate.
Fair enough. We're seeing even trading in the top lane. A slight early CS lead in the bot lane, courtesy of that hard push for level 2. But they have shoved Aphelios under his turret, and now are roaming into the blue buff actually here to get some deep vision early onto this Mordekaiser. That's an aggressive decision there.
Speaking with as much enthusiasm as I can muster right now, I am quite sick.
More sparring in the top lane. Both of these top laners are very low. If the junglers weren't passing towards bot lane, they would both be
Oh,
prime targets for ganks as Mollywops
or
goes
just
in very hard here. The hook shot stuns Molly, but Maiden forced to flash away here. The W does not connect on the outer ring, and Mollywops gets first blood here in the solo fight onto the... Oh, not the Callista, the
Camille.
Camille. Uh, 3 games in, and I'm starting to lose my edge. You know,
Oh,
as much
oh,
edge as a butter knife. Dare takes a trade here, does still get a little bit more damage onto Mike than Mike gets onto Dare. The corrupting potion that Dare owns is helping with that.
oh. Are we doing the bush cheese? Is this the bush cheese? Interesting.
Does appear that we're getting some bush cheese. Mordekaiser thinking about coming to the mid lane here for a gank. But with Mike Taps as low as he is, this might be a questionable decision. The stun
Oh
misses, the wall
no!
goes, but it blocks unresponse more than it does the Orianna. The pull does not land thanks to a solid flash by Dare, and he's going to get out of there without a scratch.
I think there would have been better to Anivia wall actually where Oriana walked out, just because Oriana was already walking into Mordekaiser.
I would definitely agree. The wall
But I
kept
mean,
his
that's
jungler
hindsight.
from...
We
Well,
kind of.
the wall kept his jungler from getting to the fight, so it was a bit of an unfortunate placement, but not the end of the world.
Did you know if you hit Control Shift Z and then zoom out, you can make it. You can get more review.
Well, very fair. I will use that in the future. We're learning new things about spectator mode every day, folks.
Oh, it looks like the Shyvana is jungle invading again.
He is invading. Mike
Oh,
Taps might find himself popping that passive, but Unresponse has found Unyielding here. Going to get some damage down onto that Shyvana, but Shyvana, thanks to the burnout, is going to be able to run away. Having the Camille there for the roam and having no health on Mike Tap does tend to help that. It does look like Mike Tap was forced to pop that passive, so Dare can be proud of himself for getting that out early. Do you think perhaps that knowing that the passive is down would open up Shyvana to ganking that mid lane?
still a control mage. I mean, like, depending on how Nivea plays, she should be still fairly safe with the tools that she has. What's going on in this bot lane?
Looks like
Well,
we
how is
just have a
CS?
small CS lead, but that's about it.
Oh, Orin has a CS lead over the Camille.
I think that's thanks in no small part to the kill he's got.
Oh,
The
is this a
ult
kill?
lands onto Maiden
Oh,
LP, is
cool.
knocked airborne, trying to escape here with the speed boost from Q, but it is not enough, and he will die. That is 2-0 in the top lane. Perhaps Mollywops has found his role.
I believe in Molly. Oh, it looks like we actually have control over the dragon and are going for the early Drake. Which is surprising, because usually when someone has Shyvana, they're the ones usually really trying to get those Drakes, especially with how they've been playing the previous 2 games.
Credit where credit is due. ZMG is learning from their past mistakes and has taken more control of the map here. They have re-evened the CS difference in the bot lane, and the Ornn
Oh, I want to see
is...
the hook. Hook her. Hook her. Yeah.
We do
Die.
see the play into the hook onto Loveless. Might get enough damage out here. She does pop the shield. It is not enough, but Alun will die in trade to Lizard. No, I'm sorry, the kill does go to the Renata Glask. Aulzeren0r is not able to survive, so that is a 2-for-1 in favor of Stun Gaming.
Started off so well, but, Renata has the W. And,
The I would like to die later, please. Turns out to be a
Make,
powerful button.
I will say, though, they did execute, although it didn't go their way, what the intent was with the bot lane, especially since they were saying how aggressive Renata has been playing the previous game and how they planned on kind of punishing her with the Thresh.
Speaking of aggressive, this Renata... Oh, we have a small DC from STN Dare. We will take a moment here in pause while we are waiting for them to return to the game. You were saying about the aggression from Renata while we're waiting for Dare to come back?
Oh, I said one of the reasons why they picked Thresh was to punish that. And although that time didn't really work out in their favor, because Caitlyn is a better early game champion, they did get the kill on Renata. It's just, I think, I don't know, power spikes. That's how you save that. It's power spikes.
Always a problem. And that does leave the Caitlyn with a component lead and a CS lead. And
However, unlike the other 2 games, Molly has already gotten 2 solo kills onto the Camille. So she might not be as big of a split push issue later on if Molly keeps up the 1v1.
Molly is about 800 gold ahead now, despite having no CS lead, doing a good job of keeping that Camille in check. However, it does look, based on map positioning, like we are going to see a fairly uncontested Rift Herald take when the pause is over. Are you at all
I
surprised that STN didn't put more pressure on the early Drake?
am a little surprised, especially since the past 2 games they've really been trying to be at every objective. However, they have managed to get, I think, every single Rift Herald the last 2 games, so I guess it'll be a third. Well, no, not yet. But
And this one, of course, is staggeringly early. They are prepared for the Rift Herald before it has even spawned.
makes you wonder if they're trying to get Camille out of the lane with Ornn, maybe.
Perhaps, or perhaps they're looking to infuse some gold back into her pockets with an early Rift Herald pop to get a couple of those tower plates down as we do return to game here.
Say though, I would expect Shyvana to really be at those drakes though. I am proud that ZM was able to get that early drake. Oh, did you just randomly lag too?
We are getting back into place after the pause. I have been informed yesterday, courtesy of our fellow caster Smitty, that it is apparently fairly common for the League client to lag in spectator mode after a pause. We do see that Rift Herald is taken and goes on to the Shyvana. Ornn has found her and will be taking this fight.
And is beating up the Shyvana.
Does beat up the Shyvana, but chooses not to continue as the Camille is roaming in. Shyvana ulting in. Camille ults as well. Mollywop's forced to pop that ult as well to try and get some disengage here. Does kill the Camille before dying.
Can he get the double? Can he get the double? Come on.
Looking for the double here. Mollywop's running out of health though. Shyvana does get the kill, and that is a 1-for-1 there. In the 2v1. Mordekaiser coming down to the bot lane. ZM Alun is running out of health here, but Loveless is similarly low. The hook does land, and that's going to be a kill for the Mordekaiser onto STN Loveless. The ult popped onto Lizard, but unfortunate placement of the Death Realm does allow Lizard to get under her turret. Aulzeren0r pops the ult in hopes of catching Lizard at the end of it, but it will not be enough. Zora forced to block the ult from Caitlyn to keep his jungler alive.
I mean, I really do think that the Thresh pick is doing fairly good into the Renata. Oh, are they gonna go for some cheese? Some cheese? Okay, we're looking at top. Now we're looking back.
It's like they're certainly thinking about it. Lizard gets trapped here, but Alun is running out of health very quickly. The
Renata
shield
passes.
from Renata will not be enough as Lizard does fall, and Renata gets the kill onto the Aphelios. That is 2 kills now that the Renata has taken, as Mollywop's forced to run away here, running out of health as the Shyvana ganks once again, but do not get the kill this time. They do have the dragon form available if they want to circle back around.
They may just pop Herald here and try to get some plates. Dive? Question mark?
Mollywops, without any vision, is in a dangerous situation here and doesn't know it. The W already used. The stun comes out from Maiden OP. The Dragon Form comes out from Unyielding, and that will be a kill going over to Maiden OP, getting him back in this game. And it does look like Unyielding is going to clear this wave and drop that Herald, but Unresponse is in the area now to counter that. Dare and Mike Taps are fighting in the mid lane. The ultimate shockwave coming out from the Orianna. The flash forced out by Dare. But the combination of the flash and the thresh in the area was enough to scare away Dare and save Mike Taps' passive.
I mean, Shyvana still has Rift. She has not placed it yet.
Shyvana has not placed Rift. Pull misses onto Dare.
No. Is Thresh caught out, or are they caught? Oh.
Zora is in a very dangerous position with Dare roaming down here as well. The slow comes out, forced to shield himself. Loveless trying his best to capture, does get the root and pull. The Flay hits nobody, and Aulzeren0r will die. The ultimate comes out from Lizard and will force Mike Taps into Eggnivia mode. The Berserk coming out only hits the Nivea, but it may be enough here as Dare gets the final auto attack and gets the kill in a 2-for-0 in the extended roam. Unresponse looking to perhaps get a kill, but he might find himself on the wrong side of 4 members of STN here, chasing off the Shyvana. Does get the pull, but unstoppable over the wall, and the smite will secure this Infernal Drake for STN.
Looks like it's Mountain this game.
Ult onto Dare from Unresponse. This is aggressive with 4 members of STN there. Alun and Aulzeren0r are in the area, but it may not be enough as Dare will get the Renata shield. Hopefully it is not enough for him. Aulzeren0r gets the hook onto Unyielding, but does not manage to survive as Lizard takes him down. Mike Taps finally joining the fight as Unresponse and Alun are trying to kill Lizard here. Loveless over the wall is powerless to help. Unyielding does manage to survive as the focus was turned onto Lizard. The Rift Herald is dropped mid lane and does get a couple of plates there. But that was a unfortunate fight for STN.
Oh. We did pop the Herald mid, but I mean, they weren't able to get the turret there, and I think Shyvana is the only one who got any plate gold. So
And to add
no, we're
insult to injury, Aphelios gets 2 plates worth of gold bot lane anyway.
but they are probably trying to focus mid to try to help open up the map.
Thoughts on the Leandries by the Orianna versus the Luden's Echo? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, they're gonna have to try to kill an Ornn later.
This is very true.
Know how often Orianna goes Leandries? Let me look at it.
Mollywops and Maiden fighting each other in the top lane. Wet noodle fight, not a lot of damage going either way. Maiden walks out of there with about 2/3 health.
Yeah, Orianna's typical build is Luden that maybe in response to the Ornn and the Ornn Mordekaiser and Thresh.
I do believe we're losing you here. It sounds like you are in full robot form. Hopefully we'll get you back to normal here shortly. Hopefully it's a minor Discord bug as we see the Shyvana ult coming in. The Mordekaiser ult in response to take Unyielding out of this fight. Unyielding running out of health very quickly here. Will fall to the Mordekaiser. Dare is the first to roam up though as Maiden OP is running out of health here very quickly. Will get pulled. Unfortunately though, pulls Maiden OP closer to Dare here, which is not what he wanted to do as Mollywops and Mike Taps have joined the fight into Dare, but will not have enough damage and will be forced to run away. Maiden OP running out of health, but trying to re-engage here. Might have bitten off more than he can chew as he gets knocked up here and does get wonked by the Ornn. Mike Taps running out of health here, will die. Did not have that Agnivia passive. Mollywops may be able to clean up here. Uses the Ornn ult, hoping to get that snipe. Hits it the wrong way. That is unfortunate, but does
Orianna
get the kill.
walks right back into him?
I can't imagine what she was thinking there. Why would you go back as opposed to walking out knowing that the Ornn ult wasn't coming for you?
Okay.
There was a question.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
Am I back to normal, by the way?
Yes, you are no longer a robot.
Yeah, I think my internet must have just decided to like not exist for like a few seconds. It's fine.
Here's hoping the stream didn't drop.
No, it was me. It was a me thing. Don't worry.
Okay. Aulzeren0r going aggressive here does not land the hook. Getting some good trade damage onto Lizard though. Starting perhaps to reach the point where the Caitlyn's early game pressure is not enough. As the Mordekaiser has joined this fight here and Loveless is going to find himself looking at a very gray screen.
I will say though, this Thresh is doing a very good job at doing the anti-Renata.
We have another Rift Herald summon mid. It will get first turret there, despite Mike Taps being in the area. Unresponse, trying to roam up, but is stymied by the Orianna.
Drag is about to come up, so I am interested to see if we are able to get priority. It looks like blue side is TPing bot. The
Unresponse pulls the ult from Unyielding and will die almost instantly to that Shyvana. Mollywops TPing in though. A Loon running out of health very quickly as Aulzeren0r will die. Orianna does buy on the back end, but Mike Taps will find himself at the receiving end of 3 very angry blue team members. Will pop that Agnivia passive and will die. And that will be an Earth Drake over to the blue team.
To answer my question, that was a no. We did not get priority over Drake.
No, they tried to get priority, and then they lost priority.
They were just split.
Are we perhaps seeing a dive here onto Mollywops?
I'm ready to watch Molly outplay them. Oh, no.
Looks like blue team decided against it. That was perhaps an aggressive dive to think about taking anyway. Both teams taking this moment to reset and take a breather here. Still anyone's game, only about 2,000 gold separates these teams. Loveless may find himself caught out on the receiving end of unresponse, does toss him away. Hook does not land. Loveless finds himself in the Shadow Realm here and will most likely die. Although he
Yeah,
pops
she is
every
not
shield
getting
available
killed.
to him.
Um,
Unyielding being a bit aggressive here in the face of 3 members, but does not get punished for it.
the wards. We need more wards. Yeah, I just need to make a button that just says, please ward.
Red team's vision is, of course, lacking, but Orianna does not matter. Orianna is very dead. Mike Taps finding himself on the losing end of a trade with Maiden OP here. I don't think the Anivia is the one that you want to match the Camille at this point in time.
He went mid and is still now top.
Yep. And will find himself likely dead here as the Camille ult comes in. Just too much damage and no way for him to achieve separation. That is a very dead fried chicken. Well, it's been a tale of 2 lane swaps here, as Mollywops has been very comfortable in the top lane, but Mike Taps does not seem like he's performing as well on this mid role as he was in the top lane. Mollywops does take the ult from Unyielding, running out of health very quickly here, but Mordekaiser is on the scene. Mollywops down to less than 1,000 health as Unyielding goes in. Does land the E, but it is not enough. The flash comes in, Unyielding, trying to get enough damage, and will find it here, as the bonk is not quite enough. Unyielding finds himself at the receiving end of a Mordekaiser ult from Unresponse here, but there are 3 members of Blue Team here, and Unresponse is forced to back out before he finds himself losing his health, and still loses his life anyway to Dare. Turret falls as well.
See, the issue there is we traded 2 and then weren't able to get really any sort of other side objective. Well, I think mid had just backed at that point too, so
Neither Aphelios nor Anivia were really on the map during that fight, which made it a little bit difficult to claim anything outside of the bot lane.
oh my god, I'm dying. It's okay.
We also see top turret fall. Camille, despite everything, is starting to turn into a problem. Does in fact have a bounty.
I really hate the fact that Nivea is staying to match this Camille.
It does feel like it's a very unfavorable matchup for the Anivia. I would much prefer to see the Ornn matching into it, especially since Mollywops has gotten a couple of solo kills onto Maiden OP here so far this game. But the Anivia continuing to go where the farm is, hoping to get that bird scaling into the Cryo Phoenix that they must have hoped she would have been on the draft here. The ult from Unyielding going a little bit deeper than perhaps he meant to, as he finds himself in the middle of volume optional balloon, forced to pop that stopwatch, running out of health here very quickly, and will find himself dying to Unresponse, but Unresponse falls to Lizard here on the Yordle snap trap. The ult coming out from Mollywops, the shockwave from Anivia in an attempt to disrupt there is not enough. Loveless and Dare both fall, and Lizard finds himself on the wrong side of a wall and the wrong side of a 4-man group from ZMG. Alloon and everyone else chasing him down will give that kill over to Alloon. However, Camille has spent this entire time split pushing and will get a tier 2 turret off of it. And might kill Mollywops here. Mollywops running out of health very quickly, and Maiden OP is not taking much damage at all. Mollywops down to less than 100 health and will die to the W there.
Oh, maybe Orin does not win that matchup anymore.
Well, he did teleport in at half health, which was perhaps a mistake. But
We should get bot turret in response though, and we did secure dragon. So I think dragon and a turret's probably still worth more than tier 2 top turret.
very fair. Although this Camille is up to a 300 gold bounty, she has become a problem.
Bright side, Aphelios did pick up a majority of those kills. I think that fight is now currently 6-3 and 7.
Both
And has a 15. Wait, that's 15 CS lead. Well, it's glowering now, but you know.
yes, but despite all of that, his gold lead's only about 1,000. So his CS lead and his kill lead has not translated into much of an item lead at all. Both teams really have kills fairly distributed. The only person who's been perhaps underserved by the kill game has been this Anivia.
She has finished her Leandries though, so
She has
she's scaling. She's scaling.
doesn't look like she's building into that Archangel. Looks instead like she's thinking about finishing out the Zanya's Hourglass as blue team
Oh,
looking
they're
to
going
sneak
for
a
the
Baron
early
here.
Baron.
Well, it's not snuck, I'm sorry. There is a blue trinket on it, but there will not be any response in time from red team, and that's going to be a free Baron for STN.
Mm.
Well, we were praising STN for being proactive earlier in the game. What happened?
Oh, that's a Orin ulti gone. Okay. And someone still needs to match the Camille. This is not a great situation with the Baron buff.
No, the 4-1 with Baron buff is very problematic. They are sending 2 people to match the Camille, but that's going to result in a significant loss of pressure, especially with the Anivia forced to clear waves. Baron buff, of course, reducing the magic damage delta minions. So it will take her much longer and much more of her mana pool to be able to clear these waves.
I think the 2 top is worth if they're able to get rid of Camille. However, at least they do have a Nivea 4-wave clear duty.
Looks like they're sending a third person top as well, with the Mordekaiser roaming up that way, leaving just the Anivia and the Thresh here in the mid lane. Mordekaiser finally rotating back, but that turret taking a lot of pressure and a lot of damage from this Caitlyn. Hook does land onto one yielding, but I don't think that's the person he wanted. Hook there, Alolan Zoro down to less than 1,000 health, and that mid tier 2 is lost.
Mm.
Mollywop's trying to escape through the gate here, finds himself at less than 1,500 health, but does manage to escape. However, this inhibitor turret is falling very rapidly. Shyvana does ult away over the wall. Lizard does get caught by the pole and will be bouncy housed here. Manages to get the heal. The Renata ult, or the Renata W will not be enough. Dare forced to run away here in the Shadow Realm. Will find himself facing unresponse and will be abandoned by the rest of his team in the middle of ZMG. That is a 2 kill for 0. However, in the top lane, Camille is doing Camille things.
It looks like Loon is trying to. Oh, no.
Well, with that overchase there by ZMG, Camille was able to take an inhibitor, and that will put some serious pressure topside as this 5th Drake of the game is about to spawn in 40 seconds.
The only good thing I see there is the fact that you do have Nivea, and she is slightly behind. This is an easy way for Nivea to collect some waves.
That does, of course, assume that they put the Anivia in that wave. There have been some interesting decisions on where they put the Anivia so far in this game, so it's not entirely certain that that's where she'll end up.
It looks like they are going to try to force the 5-man at Dragon, which I mean, they probably should. However, this isn't sold, so I like it's a little risky. It depends on if they're able to get a pick or not. I do not believe they win the 5v5 here.
Not helped, of course, is the fact that STN has the positioning advantage with that Yordle Snaptrap defensive line. They are able to take this Drake without any significant pressure from the red team. And that is now 3 Drakes to 2. Which means the next Drake here at 33 minutes is going to have to be a fight. Otherwise, this Earth Soul will make it increasingly difficult for ZMG to kill these STN members.
Oh? What
Mordekaiser
level?
popping the goals, the ultimate coming out of Ornn. The pole does manage to land on 2. Lizard forced to flash out of there as Unyielding pops the ult. The Mordekaiser ult comes onto Dare here on the Orianna, and once again will find himself the sacrificial lamb as the rest of Team STN does escape. Mollywops, however, a little bit deeper than he expected, will barely survive. Mike Taps running out of health here. The ult from Caitlyn blocked by Aulzeren0r. Remember though, these fights are 4v5. Camille is just taking side lanes while they're having these fights.
And then no one went top, so top has like a bajillion super minions on their base.
In fact, that turret is very close to dying here. Mollywops and Unresponse forced to match that minion wave. The middle inhibitor will fall as well, and it feels like STN, despite losing kills, are just picking apart ZMG. How does ZMG come back from this? 2 inhibitor waves down, or 2 inhibitors down. The map seems to be completely under STN's control. There's a Baron here in 45 seconds that ZMG almost has no way to respond to if they want to keep clearing those Baron minions and not lose a Nexus turret. What's their path to victory here?
Hope Philios carries the team fights with the CC laid out by Ornn and Anivia and Thresh.
So just keep fighting the fight they've been fighting the whole game. Trying to front to back here as best they can.
Is that a Baron? Oh, that's not a great. They
That
have no vision.
That is a fairly uncontested Baron. We do get the teleport in from the Anivia, more defensive than anything, as she would have died to Camille otherwise. But very little vision control here. STN with the Snaptrap line and the aggressive play has vision control all across this river and up into the red buff side of ZMG. Choosing not to start this Baron yet, though, giving Maiden OP enough time to start putting pressure on that inhibitor turret.
Mordekaiser. Oh, he's trying to deal with the wave.
We do have Mollywops here getting looked at by Unyielding, chooses not to take that fight. Loveless down to half health after tanking some of Baron in order to clear a control ward, courtesy of Aulzeren0r. STN, though, does decide to start this Drake. An aggressive play, knowing that the Mordekaiser is not in range. The only person there is the Aulzeren0r. However, Mordekaiser and Aphelios are both roaming into the Baron pit. Unresponse down to about half health here, as Dare is trying to zone them off, and will do so. However, STN decides not to continue this Baron take.
I mean, I think Philios just backed. They kind of have a chance now.
Maiden OP does have the TP here, which Mike Taps does not. STN restarting the Baron here. The Thresh roaming around does not land the hook onto Unyielding. That's going to be the Baron here. And it looks like STN is just moving towards that mid lane. They decide to reset instead with their 5-man Baron buff. And their 4,000 gold lead fairly evenly spread across all members except for that Caitlyn. Make no mistake though, this Caitlyn at 3 items is still scary, despite being a little bit behind the 4-item Aphelios. Maiden OP going in deep here onto a Loon. The ult from Unyielding does not connect thanks to a quality Mordekaiser ult. Unresponse fighting Unyielding here does not have enough damage. Maiden OP trying to kill Aulzeren0r in the backline does not manage to do so as Mollywops comes in and manages to delete Unyielding. Dare finding himself very low, but the Berserk doing tons of damage on the backside. Maiden OP re-engaging, but does not find the kill, as the egg may be just barely enough for Mike Taps to survive. Lizard and Loveless will be the only STN members walking out of this fight. A 3-for-0. However, Mollywops may have spoken too soon here. A Loon going in. The Renata Glass ult is enough to keep Lizard alive. Mollywop survives, but a Loon does not. That is a 4-for-1 as Loveless flashes in onto Mollywops, pops the Ignite. The knockup does not land, but Mollywops, with the help of the continuing shields, does manage to survive as Loveless pops the Renata Glass shield on himself. It is not enough, and that is a 5-for-1 ace and a dragon secured by ZMG. Well, that's a fight that went incredibly well for ZMG.
See?
What did
Just
they do
keep
differently?
fighting and hope for the.
What did they do differently in that engage that gave them the advantage over STM?
I feel. Well, the Nivea, the blue side focused the Nivea, and then Nivea had egg. So by the time they killed or almost killed the Nivea, they were not in the correct position, which allowed red side to clean up the fight. And then Molly with the sick engage into the middle of their team.
And of course, with the Drake take by ZMG, we are left with double soul point, so we will be looking down the barrel of a 38-minute soul fight, assuming we get that far.
I will say though, Aphelios does have 309 farm, so good job.
He has been farming himself to pieces. He is half an item away from being full build here. A very
It looks like we're running it back, and then they are having Camille split.
Meanwhile, ZMG is nay-ramming here, all 5 members in the mid lane, as Camille is looking to take that inhibitor turret, the final inhibitor turret of the game. Will take it. We'll start getting some damage down onto this inhibitor itself. Mike Taps forced to go back to respond. Does not hit any damage onto Maiden OP here. The hook shot does come in, takes Mike Taps down to half health, but Maiden OP finds himself surrounded by 4 members. Will find the kill there, going to a Loon. And ZMG is able to respond quickly enough that they do not lose any inhibitors elsewhere in the map as a result of that rotation.
Sucks they lost the turret. However, Nivea.
The pull here is found onto Lizard. Lizard forced to back away. Will try and find the blast cone. Will get knocked up, however, by the Ornn ult. Ornn trying to go around, but Dare is there to play bodyguard for Lizard. The flash knockup does not connect onto Mollywops, and the 90 caliber net is enough to get Caitlyn out of trouble here.
Up next, Baron or
Baron is up about 30 seconds before Dragon.
Okay, now we have Shyvana shoving bot lane and
we
a
have
TP mid.
A TP from Orianna.
They are really trying to save their tier 1 mid turret.
If the shoe fits, I suppose. Seems a bit of an aggressive TP, but it does get the Orianna back on the map in time to get some pressure towards this Baron and get some vision out. The Renata Glass finding herself perhaps a little bit out of position here. Very aggressive into the blue side, or into the blue buff side of Red's jungle, but will not be punished for it.
Wait, Renata has almost 160 vision score right now.
However, props to Aulzeren0r. He has achieved nearly 100 vision score, which is about 50 better than he was at this point last game.
Does she just have zombie ward or something?
She does have zombie ward, and she has also gone hog wild on clearing wards all game. Mordekaiser popping the ghost, looking onto either Loveless or Lizard here. Does not find anyone with the pull. Will not get the ult onto Loveless as he finds it canceled by the Orianna ult. Very good defensive Orianna ult here as both epic monsters are within a minute of spawning.
You know, I'm getting a sense of deja vu. I feel like I've seen this before.
Really does feel familiar, doesn't it? These fights over Dragon. Both teams posturing for a change, however, ZMG does have the upper hand in positioning. However, two lanes are being shoved by STN, so ZMG has to make their move quick, otherwise they will find themselves losing inhibitors here. Mollywops losing the fight badly to Maiden OP. The Camille has started to become that scary split pusher that we were concerned about in Champion Select. Mollywops has not done any damage to this Camille, however. Camille will get the kill onto Ornn. Unyielding, forced to ult over the wall, but that will likely be a free Drake over to STN. Unresponse trying his best to get in there and get the smite steal. Will not get it. Ult onto Loveless will not be enough. Unresponse just standing there. He has accepted his fate. Maiden OP does manage to get the top inhibitor and will run out of there safely. And it has all fallen apart for ZMG, hasn't it?
Yeah, this is pretty. Not pretty. I don't think they have a chance unless some crazy fight happens right here.
Especially not as
Even
STN is taking the third inhibitor. That will
even
be
if they
a
don't, even if they don't end here, I'm pretty sure they'll will be able to get the Baron and end within the next like few minutes.
Looks like STN is pulling back and going for that Baron, so they may well be taking it right here. No time to reset.
There's still 11 seconds on, or I guess less than 10 seconds on Mordekaiser, so he will not be able here to try to do a smite steal.
Unresponse does not arrive. Unyielding, rather, does take that. Mollywops TPing into the fight. The ult does land on 3, but without any follow-up, Mollywops is going to find himself dying there as my game has frozen. The game resumes. Mollywops fighting 1v4 will die. However, a Loon running out of health here as Unyielding is trying to kill him. Maiden OP flashing in. Unyielding with the flash. E will get the kill. Aulzeren0r running out of health here thanks to Maiden OP. Unyielding forces the flash out of Mike Taps. Gets the speed up from the Orianna. Lizard fighting Unresponse in Brazil. Will die. Unyielding does manage to force the egg out of Mike Taps and will get the kill as Unresponse and Maiden OP are fighting in the back of this fight. However, the Maw of Malmortius is a big shield for Maiden OP. Might be enough here, not enough to kill Unresponse. However, the base is gone and that will be a 3-0 in favor of STN here. Just like game 2, it feels like ZMG had good plays but couldn't finish it out.
They had the win conditions. There were points in the game where they could have won. It's just they just didn't quite do it.
Are there any positives if you're ZMG that you take out of this series? If you're the coach, if you're the players, what positives do you walk away with?
I did not hear what you just said because of the Discord bug at the end of League.
Uh, I asked, is there anything positive that ZMG can take out of this game? What can the players and the coaches take out of this game as a positive?
Well, they did start becoming more proactive in their plays, and they were able to win some of those fights. I really do think that it's just they just need to be able to close a game. They just need to work on closing because they did have some early game strengths. So it's just transitioning those strengths into the mid game.
Very fair. And thankfully for ZMG as they move into later matches here, that is something that can be worked on. So they are not lost yet. However, STN was, of course, a formidable opponent and played very well, winning this series 3-0. So, all the congratulations to them in that regard. Well, as we wrap up this evening, what is our schedule looking like over the next few days here at ZMG? What can our viewers expect over the next couple of days?
We will be streaming Legends tournament match on Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. I think it's Thursday. And then we will be also streaming Luna's tournament match on Friday. Both are in the Aegis tournament. One is in Protectors and one's in the Gold League.
Alrighty, folks, you heard it here first. Hit that follow button. Come join us once again at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday and Friday to watch some more ZMG matches. Keep cheering us on. Hopefully, we'll get some wins for you guys here. Until next time, though, I have been Aulzeren0r. This is Prettyfig. We have been your casters this evening, and it has been an absolute pleasure.
Mm-hmm. See you next time.